All right, folks. Hey, if I hit all the right buttons, we are live again on Talk Power BI, another Friday. And hey, this is going to be a special episode, as you can see right away. So today, we are talking about, how exciting, the future of Power BI. We can have the crystal ball and gaze into it, well, or the closest we could get to it. So we have people from across different industries and around the globe, actually. So I'm really excited about that. If you're joining us now, just drop in hello and tell us where you were watching us from. I love hearing that. And what we're going to do is switch to our expert panelists today and get some introductions. So folks, why don't we actually hold on? Let me just check to make sure things are kind of working on YouTube. Folks, if you're watching us and everything looks good, you can see us, you can hear us, let us know. And I'm going to do a quick check here. So we have Steve joining in from San Antonio, of course, Steve Ross, our moderator. He's taking a break today because we have a panel here today. Loretta Sue says hi from Tampa, Florida. Awesome. Brian was here earlier. I can see you, Brian. All right, so folks, again, let us know if you can hear and see us okay. As far as I can tell, all the checks look good. I don't want to kind of start talking and you have to miss out on some stuff because the audio or something isn't working. Cool. So folks, yeah, if you're just joining, let us know the audio is working. Let us know you're here. Say hello to us. All right, so Steve is saying all looks good. Roberto is here from Rome, Italy. So let's switch gear, folks. So again, actually, before I turn it over to our panelists, let me set it up. Let me set it up and see what we're talking about here. Okay, the animation, ignore that. So this is the plan that I have. So we're going to talk about future of Power BI. And first I want to forget about the future. I want to start with where we are right now. Is it an evolution? Is it a revolution? Of course, I'm kind of biased. That's why I have other people here as well. But then talk about what could go wrong. And so next week is the Microsoft MVP Summit. And I remember last year, I was asking everybody two questions, like how is Power BI doing in your neck of woods? And everybody said, oh, it's blowing up. And then I would ask what could go wrong. So I'm going to pose the same question here again. But then come back and say, hey, there are a lot of forces in favor of Power BI, clearly. Let's talk about that. What are they? What's going to be the wind behind the back? But then I think this is the most important question, right? I mean, who cares? Who cares about the future of Power BI? Well, what does it mean for me? And we'll see what our guests today say. What does it mean for them? And of course, you can take that and apply it to yourself and see what does it mean for you. So let's see if we have so let's do guest intro. And we had I wasn't sure we were so folks, first of all, thank you so much for joining. Why don't we go around the room? Let's see, we'll do it in the order of the webcams. I don't know how that was decided. So they can see your name, but you can say your name, tell us where you work, tell us where you're based out of, and maybe what your role is. So Heather, let's start with you.
Let me make sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, thumbs up.
Oh. I'm based out of Des Moines, Iowa, and we are finally getting to see some sunshine today, so that's exciting.
Nice.
We've been kind of in a very gloomy situation here lately, feeling like winter's never going to go away. The company I work for is a small, by many people's standards, we consider ourselves large, mid-size, independent office supplies dealer. So we sell the stuff that sits on top of your desk, the paper, the pens, things like that. And there's less than 500 of us in the company. So we are, by many standards, very small. And we are independent. We are in the fourth generation of family-owned business.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting situation here.
That's
definitely
great.
Not large corporate.
That's great. And folks, if Heather looks familiar, well, she's been here before. She's the one who presented the amazing dashboard and talked to us about how do you make Power BI successful in a small business. And if you remember, everybody's kind of eyes popped out when she started showing the bookmarks and the tricks she was using. So Heather, good to have you back. Paul, go ahead. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Paul Ferguson. I'm My title is I'm Director of Audit of Emerson Electric, which Emerson is actually a large company, 100,000 employees, global footprint, but really just kind of more of definitely kind of a team of teams. So we have a lot of businesses within Emerson, a lot of different functional areas, even within the businesses. And so definitely we'll provide, a different perspective from Heather as a reference point, but I also look at small businesses as also being like very innovative. So I'm excited to kind of hear about what other people from other size companies have to say. In terms of like Power BI journey, so from about 2 years ago, we as an audit team really kind of dove into using data analytics a lot more to be able to streamline our processes. When you think of audit, it's really trying to find outliers. And so that's what Power BI has really helped us to do. And then it's kind of been a launching pad for us as we talk now about kind of the broader conversation around intelligent automation and how Power BI plays a really has a really strong position in that conversation.
That's great. Thank you so much. So I think I messed up the order. I don't know. I was playing around with the webcam. So whatever order I see, I'll call it out. So Tom, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Tom Farwell. I'm an engineer originally. I went from a structural engineering background, then I kind of went into data analysis. And like most people, I kind of made that transition from spreadsheet use into deciding that that's not really good for most solutions just because of the numerous amounts of spreadsheets. And I'm also a little different because I work primarily in an operations center where most of our information is going to be running. We do claims processing, millions and millions of claims processing. So we have a lot of computing horsepower.
Nice. From
mainframes all the way down to Intel. So what you have is hundreds of different computing systems with all the variable metrics and stuff. So my idea is I wanted to carve all that information out into the various dashboards and stuff. So basically with a couple of mouse clicks, I can show where we are, even from a performance metric, from a CPU metrics, all this sort of thing. So that's basically what I do regularly. And the big change for me is when 2016 Excel came out, I started playing around with the Power Query and all that. The bottom line, though, is I always found it to be a little wonky compared to when I switched over to Power BI. And so I use Power BI basically as kind of like my Excel almost today, because I can always export out if I wanted to.
That's great.
So I use it quite a bit. Now, the thing that's a little odd, too, is I use it for a lot of big testing. We do a lot of big testing where one test run can produce more than 2 million rows.
Got it. Hey, we'll definitely dive into more details. Let's just get through the intros really quick. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for being here. Jennifer, why don't you tell us about yourself? Where are you calling in from? Where do you work? And what's your role around Power BI?
My name's Jennifer Brandstetter, and I work out of Michigan for a large automotive Tier 1 supplier. Currently, my role is environmental health and safety. But I've done a lot of work in Power BI with all different types of information, from HR to some group work with for ideal generation. And so just a lot of different ways.
All right. That's great. Thank you so much. Mohamad, tell us about yourself, where you are, where you're based, where you work, and your role.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mohamad Salahuddin, and I am calling from UAE, a city called Dubai. I think all of you must be knowing about Dubai. But the country name is UAE because whenever I talk to a couple of my friends outside Middle East, they know Dubai, but they don't know UAE. So that's why I'm explaining this. UAE is the country. I'm working as a CFO in a small in a SME here. And I've been in this part of the world for almost 23 years. As my function as CFO, I have to be, data is my, is my bread and butter for my company. So all my decisions, everything is based on the data. And I have been an advanced user of Excel working for a couple of dashboards, creating dashboards on Excel. But then I came across with this Power BI, and I explored it. I found Avi. I told him last week, I'm a very new member to the group, to his students team. I found him on YouTube and got excited. Said he's the person who gives the answer direct. He doesn't take you to the roundabouts here and there. So I joined it, and I'm looking forward to contribute and to learn from the group.
Perfect, great. So we got Mideast covered, and hey, we have Europe. So Samuel, go ahead and tell us about yourself. Tell us where you're based, where you work, what your role is around Power BI.
Hi everybody, this is Samuel from Barcelona, Spain. Sorry, can you hear me well?
Yep, awesome. Keep
okay. Yeah, so from Barcelona, Spain, I work in a printing company, okay, as a corporate FP&A. Our company actually just 3 months ago decided to engage in moving large portion of our reporting, not only finance, but also supply chain, sales, and so forth, into Power BI. And me, personally, within corporate FP&A, I am sort of responsible to move part of our current reporting that is made through Excel mostly, and another corporate planning, which is basically based on cubes, okay, like Hyperion. Only it's not Hyperion. And well, when it comes to Power BI, I'm relatively new. I was kind of doing some trainings by my own in YouTube when I came across with the trainings that that Avi is delivering, and looking forward to be part of this community, to exchange ideas and concerns, because again, I'm quite new with Power BI, and I have to admit that from time to time it might be overwhelming for a guy like me, like that has been working with Power BI only for 2 months.
Oh boy,
because it's too many data. So it's too many things to grasp. But looking forward to it. Yeah,
that's great. So folks, what you heard there was we have a pretty much cross section of like the whole ecosystem out there. You heard from people across different industries, certainly around the globe, doing all sorts of cool stuff, and across different levels of, let's say, experience with Power BI as well. Right? And I really think so. And again, this is not about me. I want to hear from these people, but I'll get on the soapbox a little bit, and I'll come out saying, hey, yes, I am for Power BI. So what I find Power BI amazing is that doesn't matter kind of the level you are at, it still gives you amazing benefits. Tackling with overwhelm, that's a real thing. And of course, we try to work with that in our class too. My general mantra is less is more, right? But having said that, as I said, it doesn't matter which place you are, it gives you pretty amazing benefits. So let's start there. I want to hear from our guests today that, my opinion is that Power BI is not evolutionary. We have seen evolutionary changes. I mean, Excel, and again, I'm talking about the old Excel. The modern Excel has Power BI built in, right? So you can't knock it. It's got all the strength of Power BI inside. But the old Excel, we saw it evolve over years, but it was just evolutionary. I mean, it just, got a little bit better, but Power BI, to me, feels revolutionary. I want to hear from our guest if they feel that way, and if so, exactly why. Why do you think that it is revolutionary? What's so different about Power BI? What makes it different? All right, I know we have a panelist like, hey, Jennifer, go ahead.
In my case, it was very easy to use. When I first found it in 2017, at that point, nobody, I believe, in my company even used it. Mm-hmm. And I was able to create a dashboard very quickly. I mean, in an hour, I had created something. And so,
love that.
And just different ways that I was able to use it. I mean, to make, for instance, we had an intern come in and build some type of app for us for timesheets and vacation approvals, but it didn't have an email notification. Well, I could connect to that data and set it up so that it would send an email notification out. So you can do really creative things with it. So to me, it's just the more I learn, the more I see where it can be used throughout my company or in different ways, different types of data to kind of feed into that I've never, had experience with before. So it's really opened up a whole world for me.
Love that. Yeah, as I said, I mean, I love hearing those stories where I tried this first thing in Power BI and it blew me away. All right, let's hear from a few other guests. And again, folks, just kind of jump in. If two people start talking, it's okay. I see Mohamad. So Mohamad, go ahead. And
my experience is almost same as Jennifer is saying, because I have explored ClickSense because I wanted a BI in my organization. Yeah. So I did explore ClickSense, talked to their supplier, their vendor here in Dubai, found it at that time. At first instance, I found it that it's really a good tool. But then something was not getting me convinced with that application. So I found an application called JEDOX, JEDOX. Okay. So I explored that as well. And then I found that it has a very big ticket to get it implemented and hired. I think they're out of Europe, this application. They have a very good tool on forecasting, but you need experts to deploy it and all that. Then I went to and I found MicroStrategy. And MicroStrategy, I tried a couple of dashboards there. Self-learning journey was there, and then I don't know, but I was searching. I thought that it's not giving because there were a lot of things which I could do easily in Excel, but I was finding it complicated. I would use the word complicated in MicroStrategy. So then I found Power BI. And my experience with Power BI is 2.5 months. You can say 3 months only. And I have bought into it. When I said I have to go for it. So far, I have not talked to any supplier or any resellers within UAE. I am trying to explore myself. And I am learning. And that's why I connected with Avi. And now I found it that this is the solution.
So that's great. So I want to just pause there. So you said that, gosh, I don't know what your phrase was, but you said there was a point where you were like sold on Power BI. I want to just sit there like, what was that point? What had happened? What did you see? Was it one specific thing or maybe a few things where you said, yep, this is it? What was that?
It was a data query process.
All right, bingo.
It's very user-friendly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So folks, I mean, and I probably see nodding heads when I say that across these guests and maybe in the audience too. I can't see you, but you'll be there. Where often Power BI, there's just this one feature which like makes it worth it, right? I mean, often you're like, oh, for somebody it could be like, oh yeah, I saw this in the query editor. I remember August first time discovering distinct count. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? I mean, it was so hard. So. And it's chock full of these features. So love hearing that, Mohamad. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. So great, you're on board. Let's hear it from one other person. I'm also going to keep a check on time before we move on to the next topic. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, so if I can jump in real quick, I would say like the two things. One, like Power Query, like you just mentioned, was like one of the best features that we had, and really being able to then tie pieces together, how you can just automate things by dropping something in the folder and then just hitting refresh and have it run through all those steps in Power Query. It's been like, just amazing in itself. And then the second thing is just how it kind of all ties together with Office 365, other applications.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I certainly want to dive into that when we talk about kind of the forces in its favor. Paul mentioned Office 365. That's good. So we'll move on kind of to the next topic. And folks, for this discussion, I would say to the panelists that they would give us this line. They would say, step up, step down. So if you feel like you're not getting your voice in, just step up. And if you feel like you're talking too much, it's probably not gonna happen. But yeah, just step down. So so let's go to the next topic, which is, so again, I want to come back and talk about what there are amazing forces in the favor, but what could go wrong. And I want to go to Samuel for this. So Samuel, you said something which, my friend, it's real. It's real, right? The struggle is real, as they say. And I want to bring it up because it's probably not just you. It's probably a lot of people. I know I hear from a lot of people, and maybe in the audience, those folks will agree as well. So you said something about overwhelm. Tell me about that. Tell me, why does Power BI feel that way? And yeah, just let's just sit there for a second. Why does it feel that way?
Well, let me give you an example. For I went to the Ultimate Calendar course that you have in YouTube.
Yeah.
I was trying to replicate the calendar by my own,
Yeah.
but not having exactly the same parameters that you defined it.
Yeah.
And then when I saw your videos, it was super. Yeah, it was more or less easy to follow, but then when I start doing it with my own data and with the fiscal quotas that I wanted to be, if and then the offsets and all this stuff, I came to realize that that it's not as simple as I thought it was, and it's overwhelming because at some point of time, you get stuck and you might get I wouldn't say frustrated, but it's like you might, you get stuck from time to time, and you have to stop for a second, rethink, and solve and look for the right formula to solve your issues. No.
Got it. So folks, the first step in resolving anything is you got to admit it. So let's acknowledge it, and it's real. I'm gonna take it one step back though. I didn't realize I kind of dove right in, which is one thing is that Power BI, we're looking to tackle a big problem. And actually Samuel mentioned that as well. So Samuel did say that, hey, we have big goals, right? We have a lot of data and we have to make sense of it. And I'm sure everybody on the panel, most probably everybody in the audience, when you look at your data, it's a lot. And even if it doesn't feel that way right now, believe me, once you start kind of doing that path, around every corner, you're going to see, oh, now I got to do this, now I got to do this. So there is inherent complexity in our businesses and our systems. You can't blame Power BI for that. Power BI is here to help. But Power BI has this weird dynamic, totally weird dynamic, and which is it's easy, but it's hard. So let's hear from one other person about that. Jennifer, I see you nodding your head.
Well, I think definitely it's a learning process. And then sometimes I feel if I'm getting very frustrated, it's best for me to walk away and just get some kind of perspective on it. So I have run into those cases, but personally for me, it's so far beyond any other tool that I've used that even with those instances where it might get overwhelming, I just know if I stick with it just a little bit longer that I'm going to reap those rewards.
That's great. So folks, the key thing is, sometimes I hear from people as, oh, I got to get better at Power BI. But what I realized they were doing was they were delaying working on Power BI because they thought they were not good enough. And I realized it's freaking backwards. If you put that out of your head and you say, I'm going to work on Power BI, well, then you become good at Power BI, right? So Jennifer talked about kind of taking a break. And believe me, I've worked with a lot of students. I've worked with kind of through it myself. Oddly enough, I think it's a lot about mindset, and it's a lot about how you perceive it. If you think it's hard, it's always going to be hard. Now, when I dove in and figured out filter context, row context for the first time, I'm like, what? This is bloody simple. But again, if you don't see it that way, it's always going to be hard. But again, we got to acknowledge that perception is reality. So a lot of people do experience it that way. Let's stay in complexity, and I want to hear from somebody else about the ecosystem. So now we were just talking about Power BI, kind of focus. Maybe you're trying to get the calendar table to work or DAX measure, but sometimes you come into Power BI and it's not just Power BI anymore, right? It's got there's Power Apps, there's Power Flow, there's Azure, and there's R, and there's Python. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about the ecosystem? Does that pose any challenges? Tom, let's hear from you.
Yeah, it's almost mind-boggling the rate of which this program and the whole enterprise is expanding.
Yeah.
I think over at the beginning, it's basically overwhelming for the most part. You just have to. I think the course method that's why I went with you is because it's too complicated and too much information. TMI saturation, basically.
Yeah.
And so now, for example, I've done, in my time, I've done quite a bit, but I would look at the big picture. It's still not that much. And, I haven't done a big Azure and all that stuff, but I have incorporated quite a bit of R stuff. And I really like the way that works if you're R familiar.
Yeah.
And then Python's kind of around the corner too. But yeah, those things, what I like about those is because once you get past, I think the data modeling piece of Power BI, I think that is the first most difficult challenge for new folks because it's really strange, I guess you could put it. Because DAX is a little strange in its own right. But the modeling is first. So I don't care how good your DAX is if your modeling is not great. You know what I mean? Really?
Yeah. Great
and
points.
so that's it. And for me, my to this day, it's just like I'm looking at the universe almost, and every day it's bigger than it was the day before. Constant updates and all that stuff, which is good though because that tells me that there's a lot of effort being put into this product. See, that's
right.
what I'm looking for. See, and that's how I can sort of bet the farm on the future is by the amount of effort that's being put into it.
That's a great point. But yeah, I think this is going to figure in when we talk about forces kind of in favor as well. Maybe let's hear from Mohamad Paul, because I know you're also looking to kind of deploy Power BI in your organization. Are you thinking about the other pieces yet? And generally, I agree with Tom's advice. I feel like the Power BI desktop, we can just staying really focused. That's kind of the gateway. But how are you thinking? So, Mohamad, let's start with you. How are you thinking about other pieces? Have you started considering them? What's your take on that?
Yes, I am. Actually, as I discussed with you in my first call when I joined, in my organization, we have just rolled out the new ERP system in our company. And now I am looking at that I need to create an APIs to connect to Power BI desktop or the services, whatever the dashboards we'll be using. So I'm doing two things at the moment in my organization. One is that I'm learning myself about Power BI and trying to explore and advance in it. And second thing, I'm creating, because it needs, as in the earlier one of the speakers said, that it's a mindset. So mindset has to be there. We have been working on Excel where we are in love of flat tables, where, so to come out of that thing. Now, I don't know much about Azure or other technical stuff, but I know from user point of view, it has to be as agile, as seamless as it can be. So the word API is the word which that connects the live databases with this reporting system. One thing which I need to mention here when I'm looking to Power BI, last week there was a circulation that they're coming up with cognitive services. That is the future, which I have not seen from other competitor or other products in the market on that. So that will be a huge thing, which I'm looking into it. And here in my area where I'm based in Dubai, there are special government initiatives towards automation, everything automation. They are putting in across Middle East. This is the only city or only country where the government services are e-services now.
Very cool.
Which is amazing, So looking at that from organizational perspective, we are getting ready to it.
Oh, that's
I feel Power BI is this thing. I don't know whether I'm able to answer your question or not, but that's what somehow, because I don't know technical stuff on Azure and others.
That's really good. Yeah, I will say there's an interesting trend that I've seen. So I spent the whole month of December in India, and what I realized was they're doing or have done some of the things that Mohamad just mentioned, like just everything, like e-voting, this, that. And in a way, they already have in a lot of cases leapfrogged ahead of US. I mean, the services there are not yet available here. So I think, in a way, technology, it always held the promise of kind of being that great democratizer, but it's not. yeah, I mean, I think we are starting to see some of that, and Power BI is just kind of one of that. So, oh gosh, I had another thought here. So, let's talk about, so Power BI is kind of Microsoft, and that's probably a force in its favor. We'll talk about that. But hey, Microsoft isn't invincible. We have seen it. We've seen it. Do some missteps, right? So, so my friend jokes about the Nokia debacle. He's like, Avi, there's a country out there where the whole country hates Microsoft. So the mobile and all that was a problem. And of course, we have seen this recently where Microsoft Teams is now trying to catch up to Slack, which just came in, and it was this simple tool. And so, frankly, we were evaluating these tools for ourselves, and what we felt, and I've always kind of felt a little bit, is that Microsoft stuff worked well in the Microsoft ecosystem, but not so much outside. And it's changed a whole bit. Now, of course, it changed when they started really focusing on Office for Mac and so forth, but still that sense a little bit there. So do you guys see somebody else coming in, that, and it's odd because Power BI very recently was the newcomer in this David versus Goliath story. But I don't know, is it too early to talk about that? Hey, it's so big now. Is it possible for somebody else to come in who would say, hey, this is simple, straightforward, kind of like what we saw with Slack maybe? So Heather, Paul, Jennifer, one of you.
I think it might be possible, Avi, because right now, and this again is from that smaller customer perspective, I think Microsoft is on the verge of ignoring us.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started talking about it. Yep, please continue. Well,
but they got where they are because, I mean, Microsoft, let's face it, everybody knows Office. Mm-hmm. It's installed on all the computers, everything like that. We all know Excel.
Yeah.
I've read and heard from many different bloggers that Excel is probably the most export to Excel tool used in various applications.
Yeah.
And Microsoft, I mean, it's great for Microsoft. It's great that they're there. But I'm afraid that they're focusing too much of their efforts on only the larger companies right now with Power BI. They're kind of shutting out the smaller companies with the Power BI Premium model and not having something that's kind of a mid-step.
Exactly.
For those of us who can't afford to pay $5,000 a month just so that two managers can read a report, that's just not feasible.
Yeah, I think two is not the right number, though, right? I think
two's not the right number. I'm actually looking
if you're a few hundred or something, or there is a size where initially, if you have a few users, $10 per month is it's like brain dead simple. But then you start thinking about, I have 50, 100, 200 users, but most of them are read only. I have one model author, and now you're looking at the cost and going, so that is. Definitely,
and that's kind of where we're looking. We've got maybe 50 people that need to be able to read what we can still consider dashboards.
Yeah, great.
But we're paying $10 a month just for them to read a report. Seems a little much for accounting to accept. So I'm forced to look at workarounds and to everybody has to have the desktop model and you all have to update it, and I'm still emailing reports out.
And that's not the model Microsoft wants either, right? I mean, they don't describe it. I mean, right? I mean,
exactly. But they're ignoring those of us who really don't have any other option because they don't have a read-only option. And I think it's one of the things they need to start considering. If they're not careful, somebody like, who knows? Maybe it'll be Google Sheets. We'll come along with something that will work.
I really think it has to be
more.
Accessible. I really think it's going to be a newcomer. It's not going to be any of the incumbents because, frankly, they've been like broadsided about Power BI. Nobody can take on Power BI now. It's going to be a brand newcomer, kind of like how Slack came on the block. And you know what? Now that I'm talking about it, I'm really interested in Slack's story. I did evaluate them thoroughly and so forth, but they kind of sprung up, and it was grounds up and kind of viral word of mouth and entrepreneurs, small business community, startups, right? And it just got on fire, right? And of course, they got the big names, NASA and so forth, went from there. So there is an entryway there, which I think it's kind of Microsoft, that old circle. So Paul, let's hear from you. I mean, have you seen this kind of effect where, I don't know, it becomes kind of its victim of its own success and leaves the door open for a newcomer?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always that risk, right? But kind of Heather's point, Microsoft is such the market leader when it comes to Office applications that, and there probably are even right now better mousetraps out there, right? Better solutions, but nobody's really going to switch because everyone else uses Microsoft products and trying to work across company lines outside of different companies. You want to be able to use something that everybody can share, right? So it's definitely a possibility, but in the grand scheme of things, though, Power BI, and like you said too, Avi, it's not that old, right? So I mean, they still probably have, a lot of ways to run before something else comes up. Is the way I kind of look at it. And plus, Microsoft, kind of the story of Slack too, right? They
Gosh, Teams
they
is
could
growing
go
pretty
and
fast.
buy that. The new, it's better to have a newcomer come up and prove themselves, and then maybe Microsoft ends up buying them. Or another company, right? I mean, that could be the risk, is a newcomer comes in and another company like Google or Amazon buys that new trend.
Exactly.
I think that's how it would probably play out if something does, but I still think Power BI is kind of early innings. But see what happens, right?
That's great. So I think that's a great point to segue into our kind of a next section, which is, let's see, where is my thing? So let's talk about the forces in favor, and I'll kick it off kind of where Paul was alluding to and was talking about. I'll pick it up from there. So one huge forces in favor is this is not your old Microsoft. Man, this is unbelievable. If you look at how much the Power BI team is out there, I mean, the user voice, the ideas site, all the public events they do, they are more accessible than Microsoft has ever been, and they're more agile as well. So folks, you see the monthly updates, right? And of course, we've all talked about how it might kind of stabilize with time, and it kind of is. They're slowly moving towards 2 big releases a year and so forth. So that might happen, but I'm not sure if they're still doing it. But I know at one point, their release schedule wasn't actually monthly. We saw it monthly because the desktop and stuff was released monthly, but their release schedule was weekly because the service was their experimentation ground, and they were constantly, like, every week releasing new stuff. So that is certainly a huge force in Microsoft's favor, and that might, kind of inoculate them against the stuff that we discussed in what could go wrong as well. So let's come back to that. So folks, we started off with kind of where we are, right? So I asked you, like, what do you love about kind of Power BI right now? Why is it revolution right now? But if you look ahead, right? If you, again, would gaze into the crystal ball, let's go 2 years. 5 years too crazy. Who knows what happens in technology? But let's go 2 years. What do you see are the big factors which will propel Power BI? Samuel, let's hear from you.
Well, I truly believe that it's becoming increasingly spread. I'm talking about my company, who I mean, just for you to give you a little bit of insights. We were thinking to move all our reporting to Cognos, but then we were working with our IT team, and we came up finally with the idea that Power BI is the way to go, and I truly believe that it's going to be in the upcoming years, more and more used amongst all the industries, all the roles in worldwide. So I see it, coming, increasingly, becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Wow. So that's great. So I'm picking that up from kind of the great point as well, where Power BI is becoming the thing to do, where companies they start thinking about tools. And it's almost like, so I remember one guy talking to me, and he was talking about how contracts were assigned, and these were the old days. So he was talking about how IBM got every contract, because if you were in charge of assigning contracts to people, it was a CYA move. You know, because if you were in charge of signing contracts, you gave it to IBM, nobody could fault you. But if you gave it to somebody else and it didn't work, they would come back to you and say, "Hey, dude, why don't you go with IBM?" Right? And Power BI is. You were in charge of signing contracts, you give it to IBM. So folks, one of your audio has a feedback. I'm hearing myself. Just go on mute. Why don't you go with IBM? Right? And Power BI. Okay, awesome. So Power BI is becoming almost that de facto standard. So I want to hear from other folks. Have you felt that? Have you seen that where Power BI kind of automatically, you're talking to new people or new teams, and Power BI, they already know about Power BI? It's like, oh yeah, that's the new thing, or something like that. Have you experienced that, Jennifer?
In my company, like I said, when I first started to use it in 2017, very few people at my organization had used it or had experience.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a surge, especially this year, of the people that I talk to, not only in my own business unit, but different business units of my same company. And they'll want to say, oh, we want to put a meeting together, and we want you to come in and just talk about Power BI and your experience with it. So for me, I remember in 2017 when I first heard about it, I was like, why didn't I know about this before now? I was a little upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because I talk about it with almost everybody I work with at some point.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so for me, it's it just seems to be catching on faster and faster now.
That's true. So I love that. So I'll just say two quick things. One, yeah, of course, sometimes, so I don't do in-person, I'm mostly focused on online training now, but I remember when I would do in-person trainings, people would come up to me and say, hey, Avi, is this new? And I'm like, yeah, new since like 2009. I mean, that's when the Power Pivot and all that stuff started. So that was a little frustrating for me, but that's going away. And of course, what Jennifer alluded to was that's also, I want to call that out. Amazing force in favor of Power BI, just the word of mouth. We love this stuff. That's why you guys are here. That's why you guys are here watching the show. It is pretty cool. Tom, let's hear from you. What do you see in future? Do you see something else, some other factor, which is a huge win behind Power BI's back, which is going to propel it to maybe greater heights?
Yeah, surprisingly, I think this is still there's still a very small portion of the population that even knows Power BI,
Yeah.
or just like from the management I've talked to, we've seen that before. But the problem is they look at a sales brochure, if you will, and they don't really understand what it really can do, because anything can make pretty pictures, but it's way more than that.
Yeah.
So effectively, I have to go into a sales campaign mode to show them what they don't know, essentially.
Ooh,
so
boy.
for me, in my environment, the only thing that would be different is if companies start to go into this more of a real-time collection sort of a application. But right now, to me, this is by far the best bet. No, there's no second place for me.
That's great. Love it. So, folks, that's why we have a panel, and I love that. And I want to sit there for a second as well into what Tom mentioned. So, guys, yeah, and again, it's awesome to have these multiple voices, right? So I sometimes get the feeling too, where I feel like I'm living in a bubble. So I went to the Power BI Summit, as I call it. I don't know what they're calling it, Data App Insight Summit, something like that, right? So whatever Microsoft calls it, Power BI Summit. I went to that, and I came back kind of dejected because everybody I talked to was like doing great and like, yeah, we did this with Power BI, and I came back thinking that I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. Like, who's out there to help, right? None of these people seem to need my help. And of course that isn't true, because again, that was this huge bubble. Of course, I'm in a Power BI Summit. So once you step outside, it's kind of like when I go back to India, Delhi, so where I'm from, is amazingly transformed. It's like unbelievable. I'm like, whoa, I can't even recognize the city anymore. But you step out just a few miles out of the city, and life hasn't changed sometimes even in 100 years, right? They're still living the same way as they were living 100 years ago. And I think there's a bit of that as well. So the folks who know, who've been touched, who've been bitten by the bug, they're like smitten, right? So Jennifer talked about that. But you step outside, and sometimes it can be like if you go to a different company, they're, still in the old days, Cool. Let's see. Let me do a time check. Oh, we're doing great on time. So let's move on to the next one because for this one, I do want to hear from everybody. So we had, man, I've certainly really enjoyed the discussions so far. Folks on who are watching, if you liked it so far, just let us know. Let us know. I don't know if you have a favorite speaker. Like, yeah, we like what he said or she said or something like that, or a specific points that you liked. I may not be able to look at the chat right now, but I'll go back and read through everything because you are a voice as well. You are a very important voice, and I want to hear from you which parts of this resonated with you. But I want to bring it back to kind of that personal level where say all of this is great, fine and dandy, right? But what does it mean for me, right? What do I do, right? What is in you? What's next? So we're going to do kind of a round robin to kind of end things, and maybe if I have any thoughts, I'll jump in as well. So let's pick up from Tom. So Tom, what does it mean for you? All of this stuff is going on, but what are you gonna do? Tell me about that.
Well, in a strange way, I'll go back to the old analogy: knowledge is power, and I'll leave it with that, because the idea is when you have copious amounts of information, the really powerful thing comes from being able to dissect all information and then tell a story about that information. That stuff I find to be extremely powerful, because once again, you're dealing with, they don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes me. So when I know what I know, then I can show other people, hey, take a look at this. And it's an enlightening sort of a feeling you get. You know, the light bulb goes on and says, wow, I never really realized it worked like that, or, you know, whatever. And you can paint your own story. But from that alone, that's extremely powerful. And if you combine that with large amounts of data, it's just, otherwise you really couldn't do it. It's just not possible.
That's great. Love that. So folks, I'll quickly mention one kind of forces in favor, which Tom alluded to, which is that Power BI, it's like it's in the right time, right place, because independent of Power BI did not cause this. But if you look outside of that, we're going through a data explosion, right? The Internet of Things and blah, blah, all of that sort. That's just one factor. Internet of Things isn't it, but even automation, right? Mohamad alluded to that, right? Companies, organizations, governments, nations looking to automate systems. Inherently, that's producing a lot of data. So we're living in that world. And as Tom said, in that kind of world, knowledge becomes power. Samuel, let's go to you. So again, what does all this mean to you? What do you take away from this? From, well, Power BI, all of this is going on, but what are you going to do? Yeah. Oh, wait, I think you're on mute. Let's try again.
Sorry, yeah. No. So, well, what I'm going to do, well, I am trying to design, to make my model work. First thing, okay. So, I'm trying to catch up with all the videos, doing all the courses that I engage with you, being active in all the groups, and trying to rethink how my model can work the best, okay. And I'm trying to ascertain which formulas I really need to grasp and stick to in order to become better at Power BI. But I mean, all in all, like I said, I'm only 3 months in using it, and I mean, it's gonna take time, but it really looks promising so far. Yeah.
Got it. So tell me a little bit about the impact you've had or seen already around you. Like, have others noticed, and how do you see that kind of reverberating? Right, I'm imagining a ripple in a pond. How do you see that, like, in the short future, right? Not in the long term, but how do you see that reverberating in your company, in your immediate group? How are others taking it?
Well, I truly believe that as soon as I can have it implemented, it's gonna be a huge milestone, because instead of having to go to a report and switch from several times within the same Excel sheet, you will be, the CFO of our company will be able to very easily see where are we in terms of working capital, free cash flow versus last year,
Mm-hmm.
what is driving the changes, and with all these several clicks. So I mean, what I
Wow.
see is that once this is up and running and is fully deployed, this is gonna bring a lot of value, and it's gonna provide us the better insights to
Yeah.
for decision making, and and it's gonna save us a lot of time as well. So I mean, I can think it as just as how can I phrase it, a huge milestone to accomplish. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Love that. And yeah, folks, that's kind of in the here and now. Yeah, we're not talking about distant future. And I'm a huge believer in the minimum viable project. So it's great to have good goals, but yeah, sometimes you can say, hey, we're going to put this view in front of the CFO. It's going to tell them ABC. And again, that can be life changing. So I lose my track when I switch to webcams. Jennifer, what does it mean for you? What do you take away from this?
Well, for me, it's a way for everybody in our company to look and interact with data in a way that they've never have before. It also kind of opens up, at least in my instance, I'm not a computer person. I'm not an IT person. I'm very much a functional person. And just I think the insights that I'm able to get and some of the information I've been able to bring in and compare to, it gives a whole different spin on just the standard reporting that we've seen year after year after year. So to me, that's the exciting piece of it.
Oh, that's great. Love it. Thanks so much. So folks, I'm going to sit there for a second because it's so freaking awesome. And basically what Jennifer is saying is that the world has changed now. Let's acknowledge it. And the odd thing is that when kind of new folks join my course and we do an intro call, the welcome call or something, and they often start with an apology and like a sort of an apology which says, hey, Avi, I'm not a computer person. I'm not an IT person, right? And I say, wear that like a badge of honor, my friend, right? I mean, you should be proud of yourself. So yeah, there was a time when a lot of the stuff, amazing stuff that we talk about, was not only inaccessible, but just unthinkable for the non-IT, the non-computer person. But I would say, and that's why I say wear that like a badge of honor, I think the business person is more equipped to succeed in this world than the IT person. So yeah, that's an amazing opportunity there. Mohamad, let's go to you. What does it mean for you, for your company, for your team?
I would say yes, knowledge is power. Power BI helps creating stories. But at the end of the day, those stories have to be translated into right decisions, right quick decisions, which help those. And I use the analogy that we all are the chefs in a kitchen. We create recipes through Power BI. And those stories have to be simple. It cannot be mesh of graphs, lines, and all that, because I'm CFO, so I'm sitting at the level where I just need to see the data and take decisions. But so what I take after using Power BI and getting knowledge of it is that I help my team. I delegate that knowledge. Rather coming from bottom to top, it should go from top to bottom. So it will be more, it will be taken more seriously. People will see that if I can do, why can't they do? And then we have a very good practice in our company where we train people. So I would be able to tell them, okay, what is my expectation and how you do it, and then grow up on it.
Wow.
I have given a couple of dashboards to my sales team, and they were amazed by looking at it. It was not like you always expect a complicated answer from a finance guy. Sorry, Paul, he was thinking that. But there was no graphs. They were very simple 3-4 graphs, which help them take decisions.
Yeah.
And in that way, Power BI is really helping it. That's why I'm becoming a fan of it. So I say yes, knowledge is power. Obviously, create stories, but create stories as simple as possible for the people who can use it throughout the organization.
That's brilliant. So, gosh, man, this is unbelievably good. So, guys, this is valuable. So let's just sit there for a second as well about what Mohamad said. All right. So this is one thing that I've noticed kind of around me. I've been working with students for a long time. Is that so? I talked about when I started out, I would talk about the data dungeon, and I was like, people cranking out reports, and I said, oh, I had this line, data drudgery to data joy, and I had a visual which I had drawn myself, and I felt so proud of myself. And data drudgery, data joy. But what I saw was that it doesn't mean that you know Power BI and you go from data drudgery to data joy. I saw a lot of people still stuck in the same data dungeon. I mean, business is voracious, right? The appetite for business, for knowledge, data reports is endless. So you can go from being able to produce 1 report to 100 reports and still be stuck in data dungeon, believe me, right? And yeah, so it wasn't liberating them, but they're still cranking out. So I think there's another level, and certainly Mohamad alluded to one of those paths, which is frankly a greater path. And again, sometimes you feel like, oh gosh, it's so hard, like, oh, one more thing to do. But at least just acknowledge it, and we have to, is that there is a greater path there where you're not just using Power BI. Again, Power BI is just a tool, but what if you're able to weave stories together? I think your impact is going to be much bigger, much, much bigger. So there's something there. So cool. I'll kind of leave it as food for thought, and let's see. Oh, gosh, I've lost my order. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Paul. What does it take for you? And you can get back to Mohamad on the digs on finance folks too.
Yeah, sure. So, I look at, maybe the way I kind of started a little bit on the intro is how do we tie this together with, and Mohamad mentioned this as well, but kind of automation in total. And so whether you're using other Microsoft products like Microsoft Flow to go get the data, and then you use Power Query to bring it into Power BI to dashboard, or do some action after that. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I look at it right now. And I definitely would say too that, to just kind of echo what everyone else already said to a certain extent, is that you don't have to be like an IT programmer to do this stuff, right? But I've definitely seen that those that you want, if you want to do it, you put the time into it, like it'll pay off, and you can do it as an accountant, as an HR person, as a salesperson, etc. Right? And so that's kind of the big kind of overall trend I see, and really kind of what we're marching towards.
That's great. So you see, folks, where the steps are at. So you can see kind of, and so Power BI always says start with Power BI. In fact, just start with Power BI Desktop. That's the simplest path. But again, we talked about the ecosystem, and we talked about in both contexts that, hey, it's a strength and maybe a weakness. I think it's mostly a strength where it's a part of this bigger picture, and it allows you to go on this greater path. So Paul is kind of on that path. So, hey, you got Power BI, but now how do we hook up these other systems? Awesome. All right, so let's go to Heather. Heather, what does all this mean for you and your company or your team?
Well, for me, I will continue on with Power BI, even though I feel a little bit, as you heard earlier, left out as far as the online options for Power BI. And in our world, it is not yet all that well known. I've got 3 people, including myself, that are at all familiar with it. The others kind of think it's still, I wave a magic wand at the computer screen and I come up with pretty pictures. Yeah. Which, hey, that's great for my reputation, but it's not helping me sell the tool any. But it is, even if I am completely shut out of the online capabilities at some point where they say, nope, you got to have premium and you can't even post to online without premium. There is so much that the tool can do, and the ease of it, that yes, unless something else comes into the market that says, well, you can share this with everybody and we don't care about, charging for people to just read the reports, I will continue to use it. One of our core concepts for the company I work for is learning and growth is considered a core value for us. Learning and development. And so, yes, it's for 3 years running now, I've been called out for having continued on with pioneering a software that nobody else knows or even, quite frankly, cares about a lot. They care about the results. They don't care how they got there.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
so I'll
you know,
rephrase that really quick. So you said you've been called out for pioneering the software, but I don't think you meant that. I doubt anybody really cares about that you're pioneering the software. You've been called out and recognized for the impact you've been having by doing what you're doing, right?
True.
Brilliant.
But I have, you know, I've worked with one of our guys in finance on the software. He's unfortunately kind of hamstrung by not being able to go with the premium.
Yeah, your premium
capability.
Yeah,
because he'd love to be able. Yeah, well, he can go pro actually. I mean, that's
okay. All right.
You know, $10 a month.
Free.
We can do that.
Yeah.
But our accounting team doesn't really want to go pro for every manager just to read.
I hear you.
That's,
that's
you know, and so
thing,
that's where he's hamstrung because he wants to be able to put budgeting information out for people to review using the role level security, and he can't do that if they don't have the memberships, if they, you know, if they don't have the logins. So, but we're working with it. We're coming up with workarounds and making things work for us.
Awesome. That's great. So folks, yeah, it's not not all going to be, you know, kind of a bed of roses, right? You are going to find these real challenges, and certainly I've heard from other folks, they're just the resistance to change, trying to change that, trying to go through this old guard, figuring out this license issues and all of that. But again, remember the part where I said that the business user is more equipped for this challenge? So here's what I think. So not a lot of us, not all, but a lot of us come from that Excel background, right? And in Excel, imagine you're like a Swiss Army knife, right? So and you can kind of do anything, and you figure it out. That's sort of there's that can-do attitude. You don't say, "Oh, I can't do it." You're like, "Oh, let me figure it out." And well, so I think you can take a man away from Excel, but you can't take Excel out of them. So I feel like I carry that spirit with me. So of course, Power BI, you got to retrain yourself, think differently, work differently, create your models differently. But in a way, I feel that can-do attitude is always stuck with me. And it sticks with other people as well. So that's kind of what we heard from Heather. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna troop on. We're gonna figure out the best way to make it work." And clearly, she said she's been recognized for 3 years running. That's pretty amazing because people see that impact. So there are gonna be obstacles. Let's not say that. Oh yeah, it's gonna be all awesome. There are gonna be obstacles. The key is to keep going. So folks, I want to thank my guests, and if you enjoyed this, if you found this valuable, let us know. Put in the comments. So we're gonna switch gears. Okay, we went a little bit over. Thank you for all the guests for staying on. So I'm gonna say goodbye to all of you, and big thanks. And we'll switch over to the Q&A round. So Tom, Samuel, Jennifer, Mohamad, Paul, and Heather, big thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think I definitely learned from all of you today as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Avi.
All right, bye-bye.
All right.
Whew. All right, folks. So, hey, what we're going to do is, and actually there was one person which I dropped the ball. I should have had somebody watching. Octavio Romero, my friend, if you're listening, I apologize. He was supposed to be a guest as well, and I think I didn't see him in time and didn't have the webcam on, so I missed bringing Octavio into the discussion. But what we're going to do is we're going to put links to their LinkedIn profile or contact information, whatever they want to share, in the description of this video, so you can come back and connect with these amazing people. And again, we had such a cross section of people from different industries, different background, different stages of, you know, kind of Power BI awesomeness, right? Every step of the journey, that probably there was at least one person whom you really identified with. They're like, yeah, you know, that I would love to connect with them. So we're gonna put their LinkedIn or other contact information. Go ahead and reach out. I don't know, just say thanks if you enjoyed their input, if you like that, or just reach out and connect and go from there. Your net worth is your network. Oh gosh, frankly, I want to kind of sit here for a second, it was really incredible, my friends. Gosh, and that's the part that I enjoy. I'm always learning from others. So I hope you don't see me as somebody who's like, oh yeah, Avi is up there. No, I'm always learning. And if you put it this way, anybody you meet, they have something they can teach you. Anybody you meet, they have something to teach you. That means each one of you out there, each one of you listening, you have something to teach me. And for one, I'll say, man, if you go with that attitude, life becomes a heck of a lot of fun, you know? So yeah, I love that. So let's see how things are going. So we're gonna switch gear, and we're gonna go to our Q&A round, Q&A, Power BI questions. Gosh, the last call was so amazing. We hand out these gold stars, and we got not one but 2 gold star questions. How awesome is that? And of course, Sean McDonald is soon headed for our Gold Star Hall of Fame. It was like 3 weeks running for him. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to tune in to all the comments. And Eric is saying totally wanted to join the panel. I had a dumb meeting. It's all right. It's all right. We'll do more just because this is such a blast. The next topic I have in mind, my friends, is the one very close to my heart, very dear to my heart, right? So I think I mentioned that in there. And the next topic is, well, actually not the next topic. We want to do it soon, but there's some other ones, interesting ones. People always talk about jobs. People always talk about licensing. Maybe we'll do a poll. We'll say, hey, what would you guys want to be discussed, right? Jobs, licensing, da-da-da. But this one is dear to my heart. Well, why is it? Because there are 2 women in the program who are my absolute inspiration. Pam Baker and Justina Bucks. Now, both are featured on my channel, so just go search for them. Pam, Justina, if you go to my channel, you'll find them. And frankly, my mission in life is to create more Pams and Justinas. And they just happen to be women. I mean, I didn't like, oh, I'm going to look at all the, you know, kind of the, so we have done a lot of success stories, both men and women. And again, they're on my channel. We're going to feature them more prominently just because they're so awesome. Oh, they're buried away here. We're going to put that up on our channel, folks, just so you can see that. And you know what? And the best part about me is that these are everyday folks. These are just like you and me, you know? So you see that what is possible. So let's see if you can find. So Pam is over here, from just an accountant to leading the Power BI resolution, and Justina was, of course, is one of my first interviews, and she went from being in a 9-to-5 job that she hated, she didn't like, and you know how women, of course, and I saw kind of my wife go through that, and others that I know, they go through a hiccup when you go through childbirth, right? When you have a child, you almost take a break, and sometimes you don't go back to the same position. She used that time to reinvent and transform her career. So I froze it at an awesome moment there. Okay, I don't know if that's better, but there we go. That's Justina. And she used that to transform her career, left her 9-to-5 behind, became a consultant. Now she's got clients worldwide, New York, London, maybe LA. Somehow I feel LA is there too in the mix. And she sent me a note saying, Avi, this was a few months back, Avi, I have 4x'd my annual income. And I said, good for you, keep going. Right? So how can we create more Pam and Justina? That's my goal. But I want to focus on this because these women are my inspiration. But when I look at the program, we may have 20% women. And why is that? They're not 20% women out in the world, right? If you look at the 6-7 billion people we are, women are not 20%, right? They're more than that. Then why this disparity? It's just unfair. And I realized that this is a bigger problem than just in Power BI. This is in technology in general. And of course, you will hear a lot of people talk about that. What I want to do is make Power BI the tennis of tech industry. So if you look at all the sports, huge disparity between men and women. But tennis, man, female superstars have recently been bigger. Well, almost as big. I would say as big, right? You can't take anything away from them. So can we do that? So all right. So we'll be calling from that. So all right. So let's switch to Q&A, folks. So what we're gonna do is Daryl says, discuss Power BI is not one product, it's three. Each needs to be mastered separately. That's a good point. There is, I think you're talking about, are you talking about the query editor, the model, kind of the DAX and the relationships and visualization? Maybe you are. I think, well, yeah, so that's a great comment. Chinna is calling in from India. What about for a job? Yes, that's a topic I love as well. For now, let's just take it in the Q&A format. So if you have a specific question, ask me. And let me come over here. And I wanted to say, cool. So folks, go ahead and ask me a question. Come on. I mean, no, not come on. Well, if you have a Power BI question or anything that you would want to ask me, then go ahead. And folks, if you typed something in earlier, I would just say you post it again. I wouldn't be able to go back in the comments and type in. And just for kicks, because we're having so much fun today, why don't we just open the Talk Power BI call-in line, huh? That way you can call in. Oops, not there. And I would say that make sure you join our Insiders Club if you're calling in. It's supposed to be for and you do that by going to just talkpowerbi.com. So go to talkpowerbi.com and you can be a part of our Insiders Club. It's got other cool benefits. It's you can access all of our notes from past meetings, see what was discussed, go through that, search through that, look at all the Power BI files in there. We're going to do the call-in. Frankly, folks, we're still working on this, a good method for this, but an exciting thing is we announced that we're going to be doing masterclasses taught by others, not me, which is like a huge thing for me. It's like a big change, a bold new direction, a little bit scary. And one of them is going to be the woman that I mentioned who inspires me, Pam Baker. She's coming in and teaching us financial dashboards, and I've seen her content, and I'm like, whoa, people are going to be blown away. And of course, she's going to be able to go into a lot more detail. She does this day in and day out, and she's just going to give it to you. So that's going to be for our class. That's only for our students, and now we have 500 plus students across 26 different countries last time I counted. Probably now we've hit 30 because we did have Mohamad join from UAE, not Dubai, right? UAE is the country. And we had Ruslan. You would hear from that person. Ruslan is pretty amazing too. And he joined from Russia. It's Russia, big country, but I think he's our first student. So this masterclass is going to be only for the students. But if you're a Talk Power BI Insider, we can have limited seats. So we might say, hey, we have X number of seats for your Talk Power BI Insiders. Go ahead and grab it. Just because we love you guys, we would love to see you in there. Just because you're not inside my course and so forth, we would still want to see at least some of you there, as many as we can accommodate. So we'll do that. So go to talkpowerbi.com, easy URL, and let's try the call in. Ooh, I'm excited. And let's see if there have any questions been coming in the chat. Oh, there've been a few. Okay, masterclass. Yes. Oh, believe me, I'm so excited. So Christopher, let's see. So let me take some notes here, folks. So we'll say March 15th. I'm still thinking about the whole discussion. It was just unbelievable, folks. There was so much insight. If you're joining us now, if you join us late, I would highly recommend go back and watch it. It was really powerful, and we had an amazing cross section of people. And I missed bringing one on board, Octavio. He's from Texas, and we would have had his input as well. So March 15th, I just wanted to write down future of Power BI. So that was the topic, but now we're in Q&A, and I just wanted to put this here, and let's see if there's anything fun. So Karandeep is asking, how does it work like Coursera courses? Well, so if you heard all of the panelists, you heard Samuel and Heather and Jennifer talk about that the challenge with the courses often becomes the doing, And I'm a huge believer in learning from doing. So you can learn Power BI all you want, wherever you want from, but once you start doing it, it's just frustrating. And Samuel talked about that. It's like, I saw Avi in the video, right? I'm seeing him step by step do something, but then I'm trying to do it for myself. It's not working because, hey, real data is messy data, and your data is always going to be unique. Your business is not going to be like anybody else's. It's kind of like fingerprints, right? It's always going to be unique. Always going to be unique, and that means you will, let's just admit it, right? You always run into problems something was like, oh gosh, how do I do it? And you heard them talk about how you can be stuck kind of spinning your wheels. So the focus of my course is to, yeah, there's a course, and it's a great course. It's always hard for me to say it myself, but yeah, students say great things about it. And it focuses on the core concepts, the 20% that gets you the 80% of the results, but it's about so much more. Because if you just stop at learning, you didn't get anywhere. Some students join my course and they're like, hey, Avi, I just got my Power BI certification, and I realized that I hadn't even scratched the surface. Now I'm really ready to use Power BI. That's why I joined your course. So, I believe in that. So that's how I've created it. But again, go for it, right? I mean, whatever works for you, just keep going. Just go get the knowledge. Coursera, there's edX, there's of course YouTube, and blah blah. Go do that. If that works for you, go for it, right? And then just apply it. And of course, the community is awesome. So figure out a way that works for you and go from there. Okay, Heather is saying it's a great course. Thank you. Does Power BI offer row-level security? It does. Okay, cool. So let's see about these questions. Is there RLS and Excel? Oh gosh, yeah. So row-level, yeah. I mean, there is and there isn't. Heather talked about the fact that Power BI Pro is not a viable option. So actually, she was talking about Premium. Pro is a good option. You are coming up against this. Well, so pro, yeah. So cool. So let's talk about that a little bit, because it did come up. So let's say 1099. I don't need to say AM. We all know it. So we'll say 1019. We'll say Christopher asked about licensing. Pro, Premium. So yeah, folks, gosh, licensing, I guess, does need to be a topic. And I don't know, I'll try to invite somebody from Microsoft. Say, hey guys, can you join? I mean, right, because we would love, we want to hear from them as well. And we want to hear from their perspective too. So I'll try that. But here's kind of my take on it. So if you're on the small side, right, I mean, let's say 10 users, and everybody's really involved, right? Everybody's like really, really into it. And then you get 10 pro licenses. That's $10 per month. That's nothing. $100 for Power BI awesomeness. That's nothing. I pay $10 a month for a service which lets me book let others book calendar appointments with me. Come on, seriously, right? I mean, I pay $10 for that. Power BI, think about, it's just mind blowing, right? There's just a lot of cool stuff. So small users, no big. Let's say you have a large set of users. Let's go beyond 500. If you have 1,000 users, you just go premium. And you're paying $5,000. How much is that per month? That's $5. That's nothing. That's peanuts. Like, oh, whoa. And of course, this scales. You can have 1,000 users here. You can have 10,000 users here. And again, it's capacity based, so you might have to spend more, but maybe you could, right? So it's a great option. But this, we talked about the uncanny valley, and we talked about in the last talk, Power BI. So uncanny valley, by the way, the term comes from robotics, and robot designers know through experiments that if robots look like robots, think like whatever, you can imagine a robot, you see, that kind of stuff, right? Then we are okay with it. Oh, cool, look at that robot, right? And if we could make them exactly like humans, then obviously we would be cool with it. But as robots become closer and closer to looking like human, but being slightly off, that freaks the hell out of us, right? So there's this uncanny valley, there's this weird valley, there's this dip where it doesn't work. It freaks humans out, and obviously those kind of robots can never be integrated into human society. So here we have the uncanny valley of Power BI licensing, where it works here, but there's like a no man's land here. So it's obviously I can't change that. I can't change the licensing. I can share a little bit of the techniques that I use. And again, you heard me, I'm recapping last week's call, so I'm going to go quick. Go watch the last week's Talk Power BI, the licensing topic. And again, if you go to Talk Power BI, oh shoot, I apologize. Last week, I didn't take timestamps. Normally I do. So you can see that when did we discuss what. But you can see, oh, actually I did take timestamp for licensing maybe. Yeah, I think this was the bulk of the licensing discussion, 3 hours into the call. That's kind of crazy, right? But basically what I do is, especially when working with a client, I try to push the discussion discussion of licensing as far out as possible. And I'm not trying to pull a trick on them. I'm not trying to trick them into anything, just so that when they're looking at cost, they're not just looking at cost. I want them to fairly compare it with the value. And if you heard from the folks today, on the Power BI, value can be so incredible that it can be incalculable. So I remember I was in a panel talking about Power BI and Tableau in the new age of BI, and they talked about ROI. Now, to be frank, measuring ROI, really measuring ROI, is kind of hard. It's always challenging. But to me, in a sense, it's infinite because, right? I mean, how do you measure ROI when it changes somebody's life, right? When I felt stuck, chained to my desk, cranked out reports, and now I feel liberated, right? I mean, it's just unbelievable. So the farther out I push the discussion of licensing, we put them in a better position to fairly assess the cost and value. That would be my best advice. Awesome. Let's see. Oh, do I have the call going? Oh, maybe not. Maybe yes. Maybe no. Okay, now I think it's on. So, yep, connected. And I'm going to share my main screen 2. Okay, cool. So the call is live, but let's see what else is there. So row level security, maybe we'll come back to that. Excel, I may have a trick. Power BI does offer row level security currently. Who is asking, how do we perform measurement that can split 12 hours day week? I like that one. We may go to that. Okay, Christopher's trying to help Gene, which is awesome, folks. I love that. And of course, we create the same environment inside our class. We have maybe one too many places for our class to hang out. Our main presence has been the Facebook group, and a lot of folks are here. Great discussion, amazing people. And there was a time when I was the only one answering questions, and now before I can get in there, I mean, look at this. I haven't even seen this, and it's got 9 comments there. So yeah, I try to stay quiet. And so we were talking about Slack and stuff earlier. We just started our Slack group for our pro level members, and that's been pretty exciting. So great. I love that community. Love folks helping each other. What is the amount of scripting required for Power BI embedded? That's a great question, which I can't truthfully answer. I do know that Power BI, what I like about the Power BI embedded is that I know, maybe somebody else can answer. 1026, and this one is just Garrett. Scripting for Power BI embedded. All right, so what I know is that the models are designed still in Power BI desktop, which I like, which is awesome. Now, what that means is that if you're looking to start on Power BI, you don't have to think about, oh, is my report going to live in the cloud or on-prem, or is it going to be embedded? Oh, if it's going to be embedded, then I need Visual Studio, and then I need to build it there. No, the tool is always the same. The authoring tool is always the same. So again, folks, starting out, going back to this, don't worry about licensing anything or any other tool. Don't worry about Azure, R, Python, Powerflow, Power Apps. Power BI Desktop is the gateway drug to Microsoft BI and maybe beyond, right? So just start there. So I know that much. Now, my impression, based on the conversation that I've had with other MVPs and stuff, it's very kind of low script. Which, if you think about the Microsoft ecosystem, how it's evolving, kind of Powerflow and Power Apps, the whole idea behind Power Apps is low to no code. Seriously, right? I mean, that's the direction that they're kind of driving in. And so, that's kind of my best take. If somebody has a better answer, let me know. Vishesh Saxena has a great question. So, folks, where did the call-in go? Call in if you would like to talk and ask question over the phone. Clearly, I can't type without saying those words. I do that quite a bit. All right, cool. So I think the line is live. And again, I request that you join the talkpowerbi.com Insiders Club. Let's take this one. I'm not sure I can answer that, but I would love to hear from other folks as well. So if we look at this one, so Vishesh, good to have you here, my friend, is asking how to make only certain report pages visible. I should have opened a model up already. Man, I keep having flashbacks to the discussion we had when you couldn't see it, but I was keeping a kind of a notebook on the side, and I was scribbling down notes, and frankly I wanted to scribble down more, but I also wanted to focus on them and you know, kind of running it. It was unbelievable. There was so much insight there. I'm sneaking across, and yeah, one comment I wrote down was Power BI recipe. Then Mohamad mentioned that, and it's like so beautiful. Okay, cool. So Power Flow, Power Apps. Oh, what? Sorry, no, wrong question. Vishesh Saxena. I'm glad I write these things down. Vishesh Saxena, how to make only certain. Okay, got it. So this is great, and maybe we can go into the discussion of RLS as well, because there were a few questions there. I forgot. Karandeep was asking about RLS. Christopher was talking about RLS and Excel. I would say yes, you can, but maybe not the way you're thinking of doing it. Oh boy. Okay, so let's frame the question. So what is RLS? What is RLS? RLS. So of course I cover it inside my course, and this actually has two kind of you know, forms of it. The acronym has two kind of full forms. So my understanding is this is the correct one. This is the correct one, but maybe there is an alternate one which Power BI team has adopted, and I don't know if they did it because of this reason, but I like this one because it's simpler to understand. It kind of makes more sense. This is a little bit geeky, and again, they're talking about the exact same thing. So let's go to row level security. RLS, huh? How about that? Row, they all sound the same too. That's kind of weird. But what you can do is you can go in here, and in the security you can manage roles, and then, well, this is for testing. That's what it is, view as role. So ignore that. Who cares about that? Testing, of course, it's going to work. No, just kidding. Testing is great. But you go manage roles, and you basically define a role, and it's like a North America sales leads, sales people, something like that, right? So, and then you say, oh, they can only have access to where the country is United States and Canada, something like that, right? So United States. So again, we click manage roles, and you can define these roles. And one thing people are looking at here, they're like, okay, now I want to add people to this. Now this is just defining. Again, remember, never forget this, friends. Power BI Desktop is an authoring tool, right? It's for authors. It's not for users. So you author this here, and then you publish it, and the report is sitting on a service on PowerBI.com. That's a web service. That is where you add people to the roles, and that service is what actually enforces security. Now, I love row level security, RLS, for one reason. Now, what you do is you have a model, right? And then you create a whole bunch of reports to it. Lots and lots and lots and lots of reports. Go crazy, my friend. Reporting becomes cheap. Can you believe that? There was a time when reporting was really expensive. To build a new report took a lot of time. To make changes to it, right? When you showed somebody that report and they said, oh, that looks great, can you add this? Oh my God, you had to turn your world upside down. Reporting is free now, nearly free. And you can create these reports in Power BI. You can create lots and lots of Power BI reports connected to the same model, and I love doing that. Lots of Power BI reports, but you can also create Excel. You can create SSRS, not TS, and heck, you can use Tableau if you want. If you really want. No, Tableau is a great visualization tool. I don't care about the visualization tool. Tableau and Power BI, they're not competitors. Again, people ask me Power BI versus Tableau. I'm like, you're comparing apples and oranges. Modeling, Power BI, clearly. Visualization, bring your own visualization tool. BYOE. That's the word we're moving to. All right, cool. So we have these multiple reports. What row-level security does is it enforces security right at the model level. What that means is there's no backdoor. There's nobody can get around it. As opposed to when you let's say you go to powerbi.com and you share your report with some people, and maybe you make a mistake, and that setting which allows you to share it with other people. Maybe by mistake you grant that to somebody, and now they share it with the whole company. Oops, right? But if you have row-level security, you don't care, because doesn't matter. They can share it with the world if they want. The security is enforced at the model. So that's what row-level security is. Now, what Vishesh is asking is that great, I get that. And the way it works is basically if they don't have access to the data, they wouldn't see the data. It'll show up. It'll start showing up blank and stuff. So let's kind of replicate that really quick. Okay, so it's loading, and it's possible that it may look like something like this. Oops. Basic. There we go. So they go in, if they don't have access, they will see this. And that's great, right? I mean, row-level security did its job. But what Vishesh is saying that, no, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I have 20 pages down here, right? Let's say, and I want the managers to see this, the CFO to see this, the CEO to see this, the sales team to see this. I feel, Vishesh, what you need is not really row-level security. You need to separate your model from the report. All of your reports, I'm guessing, are in that same Power BI desktop file, PBIX. And that's an okay way to start. But again, this is one of those big shifts you can make where you separate. You model the PBIX file which you are authoring. It's not going to have any reporting sheets. Zero, nothing. Well, you can't delete the last sheet, but it's going to be like an empty sheet. There's nothing there, right? Empty is just the model. And then you're going to create reports online for your audience. And this report is going to be for the CEO, and it's going to have this reporting page, this reporting page, this reporting page. This is going to be for the salespeople, and it's going to have its own pages. And this is going to have its own thing and its own pages, right? So I think Autoless is not your answer. That's not even the problem that you have. You need to disconnect your model from your report. So try that, let me know. Or let me know if that idea kind of sounds good. And of course, the way you do that is, one way to do that is to publish to powerbi.com. And then you, let's go to a cooler workspace, not this workspace. Let's go over here. And so you see this, and wait, let's just go to data sets. And here you can see, so the data set is really the model that I speak of, right? So I really wish they called it model because that's the name I use, right? So this represents the model. And again, in this PBIX file, it'll be nothing in there. And then you click this button to create reports connected to that. Oh, wow. So Lindsay says, awesome. That's the answer to a problem I did not even know I had. So folks, that's the other thing that I believe in. You know what I said, learning by doing? Learning in community, my friend. We are stronger together. So I'll tell you a funny story, not a funny story, but kind of a powerful story. So let's mark that. I think this is, so I want to come back and maybe have some more fun with row-level security, especially if Christopher is still here. I want to talk about Excel row-level security. But so this is Avi. Job hunting story. So we're talking about job hunting, jobs in Power BI. So I was part of Washington Mutual, the financial bank that's no more, went up in flames. And the story I like to tell is that Titanic was going down. I mean, I had all the signs. I could see around me that the ship was sinking. We had hit the iceberg. And I was holding as tight as I could to the handrails. I was just, I'm not going to let go. I don't know. Human beings are weird, right? I don't know why I did that. Frankly, to be empathetic to me, man, it was hard. It was hard. I think I was praying for a miracle. Even as I saw all the signs around me that the ship was sinking, I was kind of being that ostrich and, digging my neck in the sand and saying, no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And gosh, the right thing to do was to jump. Anyway, so I lost my job along with a whole bunch of other people. And it's hard, right? I mean, you all end up on the job market. The job market is kind of flooded, thousands of people looking for jobs. And it's so hard. Now, one thing that I think they did right was, so Chase took over Washington Mutual. And I have to say, man, Chase took care of us. Took care of us. I mean, they didn't keep our job. They still gave us the boot. But they're like, okay, see ya. They just wanted the stores, the bank stores. They didn't want another kind of head office. They didn't want the IT team and so forth. So what they did, though, they did right by us, and they hooked us up with a pretty good team of, companies who help you find jobs. And these guys were good. And one thing that they did was they established a job hunting club. Right, so it's established job hunting club, and it sounds weird because, like, dude, I'm competing with this guy. What are you talking about? I'm not going to hang out in the same room with him and discuss about the opportunity that I had, the interview, the company that I'm angling for. Why? I'm competing with him or her, right? And they said, no, put that away. You're not really competing, and it's actually going to be better together. And I didn't quite believe them, but I saw the power of it eventually. It becomes incredible. And again, that's what happens in a community as well. You're not just learning for yourself from your own questions. You're learning from everybody. And of course, so in kind of Facebook, so I always say I'm messing it up, but give twice as much as you receive. Yeah, I got that right, I think. Give twice as much as I receive. So I always tell folks that, I mean, when you're new, fine, go ask all the questions. But as soon as there are other people who are newer than you, start helping them, because I'm teaching to learn twice. So this community becomes amazingly powerful. And of course, to the point. So of course, in a course now, I've grown with my students, so we have our pro level and a pro plus level. And in some sense, at those higher levels, the community is more important than any content that I provide, and more important than kind of me and my presence and my guidance. And of course, so folks, you heard about the real Power BI. Let me give you a quick update there. So folks, we're going to come back and start taking questions. But again, sometimes, this is the good stuff. I mean, you don't realize it, like, oh, I just want to solve my DAX measure. But guys, it's bigger than that, and you got to kind of acknowledge that. And again, you can miss the miss the forest for the trees kind of thing, right? So you can be the Power BI person and still be stuck in that data dungeon. This is the kind of stuff that lifts you out of it, right? So for one, is the community. Your net worth is your network. I'm always proud of myself when I can say that right. Again, repeat it after me 5 times fast now. Your net worth is your network. So again, the community thing again. But again, learning by doing. So we have. So this is the real Power BI project. We have these amazing people, and from like Africa. So we have Africa, UK, Mexico, US, at least those 4 regions who are collaborating in this real Power BI. So business users who submitted the project. Some of them were students. They do get kind of special attention, and some of them just outside in the community. And we matched them up with students in our class: Frank and Peter, Antonio, Noah, Jason. And this is the most awesome thing. And then, of course, we have Cheryl and Della, who kind of brought their own project. Steve stepped up. One day, Cheryl was, kind of sharing and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this. And I helped her. But Steve said, Cheryl, just reach out to me directly. I think I can help you. And he was so nice. He was like, I think you're at the level where I can help you. Steve is pretty amazing, right? But he always kind of, undermines himself a little bit. But he said, yeah, you're at the level where I can help you. Frankly, that part doesn't matter. The part is that, they connected. Mark Stewart stepped up, and I'm going to pair him up with Frank and Peter and Della, and they can help each other. So again, gosh, it's so powerful. Cool. So that was my thing on that. Job hunting club. Job hunting clubs do work if you can form one or form just a group of friends or folks you come to know that, hey, 4 of us are looking for a new job. Form your own club, right? You don't need permission or anything from anybody. Form your own club, start getting together and say, hey, yep, our goal is to do this. What can we do? Form a plan. I would say, man, I love this book. I can't, what color is your parachute? It is a job hunting book, but it's also, what color is your parachute? It's a career guidebook. It's also a life guidebook. It blows my mind. Cool. All right, I've chatted enough. What happened to the callers, man? Come on, you're not. No, okay, it's okay. I'm gonna hustle you guys. Let's see. We don't have any callers, so I'm gonna post the link again. Let's try starting that call again. How about that? Yeah, boy, I have to say, yeah, guys, this time it's a request. Call in, talk to me. After having that awesome panel discussion, I'm kind of tired of hearing my own voice now. I'm like, oh, gosh, yeah, I want to talk to others. Okay, so we got that, and let's go in over here, and we get so should I say please? No, I'm not going to say please. Oh, well, you know what the hell? Call in. Well, call in if you want. Call in on the phone here. Okay. All right, cool. So let's see what else is there. So question missed. Let's go with that. Same report with certain filters with certain users. Yeah, my friend, but wait. So hold on. So okay, I just want to make sure I'm not mixing two things here. So Vishesh was asking certain report pages. Okay, let's go to Gordon's question. Although Scott tried to help him, RLS would be perfect. Yep, create a role. Yeah, boy, that's already been answered. I don't have any. Do I have anything else to add? Let's see. Hey, Christopher, if you're still on, just let me know. Type in a comment, and because I wanted to kind of explore that RLS and Excel thing. Let's see. So what do we have? So 10:45. Currently is asking. Different filters for different users and RLS. Cool. Awesome. That's great. Thank you for reposting that, folks. Yeah, so I think Sales Team 1 can only, this is classic rollover security versus Sales Team 2 from the same Sales dashboard. Yep. So this is rollover security. You just go in there, define roles, and you say, yep, this one is Sales Team A, Sales Team B, and you say Sales Team A has access to this filter, their territory, country, or something needs to be United States and Canada, or United States or Canada, something like that. And that's it. And then you publish to PowerBI.com. You add the folks there. So folks, I mean, if you are, I know there are some listeners who join in on YouTube who are already in the course. So I just wanted to point you to the resource where that's covered. So if you go to the main course, it's in the 6th module, which covers the PowerBI.com platform. By the way, folks, I mean, so if you're on YouTube, you've probably seen my Zero to Dashboard tutorial. If you're getting started, that's a great place to start, and that's kind of featured. It's hard to miss. It's kind of like the first thing on the channel. So it's right here. That's what's inside our course is called Zero to Dashboard. And that gives you an end-to-end, but then you dive into each topic. So PowerBI.com platform, if you are in the course, then go in here and look for role-level security. Wow, it's got a lot of stuff in there. I've forgotten. So that's role-level security. So currently, role-level security is your answer. If you have any specific questions about how to implement it, I'll just add one more thing, that this is great. You can go in here and say, hey, create a role for North America, for Asia Pacific, Middle East, and so forth. That's often not how I do it. And often not what I recommend. What I usually do is I pull this information from HR, where I can pull from the HR system that, hey, which person belongs to the North America sales team. I don't have to like create my own stuff, and then I do it based on that data. So it's slightly different. Basically, what happens is that you don't have to then manage the set of people. You don't have to keep adding and removing people. It's going to be automatic. I mean, if somebody leaves, cool, the access is pulled. Somebody changes teams, goes from North America to Asia Pacific, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about, oh gosh, now they're seeing North America. Now Asia Pacific has a spy in the North America team because this guy moved teams and now he can see the North America data and so forth. So you don't have to worry about that. So there's more to role level security there, but that's the gist of it. And Christopher is here. I hope you joined my course. Awesome. Yep. Would love to see you inside. Cool. Any advice on starting a community? Ooh, that's a good one. Yes. That's a great one. I love that, love that, love that. We're definitely going to get to that. But Christopher Hastings said hi, so I got to give some love to Christopher Hastings, my friend. So let's, excuse me if as I go do that. So we'll come back and to talk about... oh, yeah, so Ryan, I'm going to answer your question really quick. Avi, are there plans to update my book? Since MS implements updates monthly, do you think update version of your book is needed? Well, here's the thing. I mean, gosh, book... In spite of my best intentions, even before I started my online training, even when I was still kind of in my old world, the only update we were able to do in the book was to fix the typos, right? And I think somebody else did that, and they proofread and said, okay, we're going to fix the typos or something. Or whatever feedback that the students had sent, like, oh, this line is wrong or something like that. Man, book is a bit of a beast. And frankly, I've fallen in love with the online platform. And yeah, so it's so much easier and it allows me to move so much more fast. And what I've realized is focus is key. So you're not saying no to other things. You are saying yes to what you truly believe in. By the way, that line in itself has really helped me to stay focused and say no to others. So I had to say no to the book because I'm saying yes to this format, which I know has reached like 500 plus users, and of course on YouTube, I mean, it crossed 20,000 subscribers. But of course, so this is a bigger footprint, allows me to operate much quicker, and I love running things in beta. Learning from Google, by the way. If you see Google, they run their products in beta almost forever, for 2 years, 3 years. 5 years, and I think that's cool. That's a cool idea. Just kind of let people know that, hey, this is an experiment, and just bear with me. But what that has allowed us to do is it has allowed us to run real Power BI. That's still in beta, even though it's in the third time. It has frankly allowed us to offer the Pro Plus course, where we're finally going beyond Power BI, right? So this course, 6 Figures Power BI Professional, there's no Power BI content in there, zero. We're talking beyond that. We're like, okay, cool. Now you know Power BI. Well, how do you leverage it to make a bigger impact and create a better life for yourself, right? And yeah, we're talking about mindset in there. We're talking about social presence. So and this is a beta as well, right? So the online medium has I've fallen in love with it. Yeah. So I'm not really focused on the book right now. And again, all right, cool. So so let's go to Christopher. Let's talk about rollover security in Excel. Are you excited about this, guys? I mean, come on, this is pretty cool. All right, but I don't know. Well, we'll see what you think about my answer. All right, so Christopher Hastings, cool. The answer is yes, absolutely yes. But Excel can't do rollover security. Cannot do RLS. Well, then how do you do it? Well, we don't do it in Excel. So remember what I talked about, the separation of model and the reports? And I said one of those reports can be Excel. So maybe you already know where I'm going with this, right? So I said, oh, you can have one model, and then you can have a PBI report, a PBI report, and PBI report, Power BI report, and then have one Excel report. So if the model is doing RLS, Excel is using RLS, right? So if the model has row-level security, Excel has row-level security. So use it as a reporting tool. Simple. And how do you do that? You connect that to a model, connect that to PowerBI.com or analysis services. I love analysis services. It's awesome. And I love it because it's simple. The first time I tried SQL Server Analysis Services, or SSAS, I was so scared because I thought it was going to be like SharePoint. And I had tried to do SharePoint and gave that up really quick. It's a beast. Anybody who's a SharePoint admin knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's a reason why SharePoint administrators, or at least at that time when I left Microsoft, and we had some very highly paid ones, you know. It's a complicated beast. But SSAS, love it. PowerBI.com, obviously it's easy. Nothing gets easier than that than the cloud. So again, but you have cloud and on-prem options, so you can have these. And of course you have the other stuff, Azure Analysis. There are a few ways to do this, but then, so we'll do one of these. We're going to go over to our data set, and we're going to say analyze in Excel, and that's it, right? So and then you create an Excel report, put in whatever you want, but it's a thin shell, right? Again, this whole paradigm of having a model here and having a report. The reports are thin reports. They're dumb reports. You remember the days of the dumb terminals? Guys, we're back at that, right? So the model has the heart. That's like the mainframe, whatever, right? That does all the heavy lifting. And it's powerful, it's awesome. And the reports are like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I'm just going to show you this in a graph. That's all I'm going to do. Oh, you asked a question? You clicked on a slicer? I'm going to go back and ask this guy because he's the only one who knows, right? So again, you have and of course, another big advantage of that is you get a single source of truth. Not he said, she said. Like, oh yeah, and believe me, we saw this in Microsoft where folks couldn't agree whether our sales were down or up from last year. Right? Yeah, you imagine two people arguing, no, sales were up, no, sales were down, look at, and they both had the same number. So that goes away when you have the single source of truth. So you come in here, and I'm not gonna step through this, but basically at the end of it, well, maybe I will as I'm talking. And let me see if Christopher liked that. He's like, no, Avi, I knew about that. That's not the solution I'm looking for. Well, that's the best I can think of, unless somebody else can think of something else. I mean, of course, there could be. I don't know. Yeah, so now you connected. So again, this is this thin report now, this Power BI. It's not going to have, I mean, if you save this file, your model can have gigabytes of data, but this is going to be a kilobyte size file. But you can, you can, oh boy, what is this model? Oh, I'm not familiar with this. I'm not going to mess with this, but revenue, let's just put something there. Let's see. Oh, cool. And let's say business hierarchy. But yeah, I mean, this is Excel. So Excel report, but then since it's connected back to the model, it's going to enforce row-level security. So Christopher, if you're ready for this, there's a bonus tip coming your way. There's a way to make this work, all right? The way to make this work is you do this. Oh, gosh, yeah, refresh. Let's talk about that, yeah. So the way... Cool, the refresh is a good point, so we'll talk about that. But there's one crucial thing, and again, it's such a simple trick, but you may already be wise to this, but the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. So the key is that, so you do this, and then you build whatever Excel can do. And again, you have Excel is a great visualization tool. It's got lots of capabilities. The strength of Excel is that it's extremely flexible. There's macros, there's so much customization, right? So that's the strength of Excel. And again, we recognize, and again, I'm talking about like the old Excel, not if you're using the Power BI inside, then it's awesome. But its kind of strength is weakness. Because it's so flexible, if you try to do everything, like clean up your data, do all your calculations, it just became kind of too much. So now, of course, you have given all of that to your model, right? All of that heavy lifting is there. Now it's just a visualization tool. So now you can go in here and say, I want to see it by business hierarchy. I want to see it by, I don't know, like let's say state and then region, something like that, right? So you have that. And of course you can do graphs and all that stuff, right? But so the thing is that if you share this file, then people see this data. They're going to see, core was 67 million. Right? And you don't want them to see that. You don't want them to see that. I mean, you want them to see data based on what they have access to. So what you do is this. and again, it's simple. And I'm talking to everybody, not just Christopher, because Christopher might only like, yeah, we got it. So what you do is you pick something where, so this is not a great example, but let's say you pick something which doesn't have any rows, right? So I don't know, sometimes there's a blank there or NA or something like that. Maybe you can add a NA field. Let's add some more slicers and see how that works. YQM, maybe, sorry, I should have stuck to Adventure Works. You know, I don't know what this data set is. Let's try, oops, I know, let's try product. Hopefully that's gonna work. Oh, awesome, great. So you add something, oh, this is blank. I'm hoping this has no data. Oh, shoot, this still has data. But imagine this didn't have any data. So what you do is you leave the report filtered to this selection so that this is blank. And again, ignore these values for now. These are not there, right? So these values are blank. Whatever, right? So this one is blank as well. So you leave it as that, and that's how you share it with others. So now when they open it, they don't have any data, but that's cool. They're gonna click, oh, I'm in this group. I'm in blah. I'm in North America, and they click on North America, and then it goes back to the model, fetches the data, and then it shows them, right? So that way, yeah. So that way they don't have kind of the data already with them when they open the file. Let's talk about refresh really quick. So I'm just gonna note it down. So I'll say tip, save the file, filtered to, and again, sorry guys, I realize I must have always done this, but I guess I speak as I type. Save the file filtered to an NA selection that shows no data. So user is forced to refresh when they open the file. Now, I think that's gonna solve the other problem as well, because when they click the slicer, it's gonna go back to the model and get the data. So I think, yeah, I mean, the best I can think, that's like non-issue. I mean, and again, I mean, maybe it's not ideal, but that's the only way I can see it work, right? So you filter towards an NA, and they come in here and they say North America, and at that time, again, the report is a thin report, doesn't have any data of its own. It's always talking back to the server, back to the model, so it's gonna go get there. So so refresh is a non-issue, I think. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's leave it at that. Let's see what other questions are there. Ooh, there was Lindsay. Hey, Lindsay, are you still on? What if they click the wrong selection? Well, yeah, if I'm in, that's a good question. So if I'm, so let's stick to this. So let's say I am in the growth division, right? So if I click growth and I see that data, if I click core, I see nothing because I don't have access to it. And again, rollover security is like iron tight, right? There's no way around it. There's no way around it, right? I mean, right? So it's as long as the things are talking back to the server to get that information, which it is, this is like a lockbox, right? It's like secure. I'm trying to draw a lock here. So yeah. So if I'm in growth and I click core, it's just gonna say nothing. It's gonna blank out, right? So it's gonna kind of be this blank thing, kind of the same thing which we said that Power BI does. It just kind of goes away. All right, cool. Thank you, Amandeep. Calculate table. Just give me okay, good. That's a good question. I would love to talk about that. So Christopher, I hope we have taken good care of you. Lindsay, if you're still on, let me know. I think yours is a good question. I would like to cover that, but it's kind of more fun when the person is still on. That way I can see if they have any other thoughts. All right, so let's go here, folks. I'm ready for this. Are you ready for this? This is going to be exciting. So this is 11:01. Lindsay. Yeah, still on. Awesome. So great. Let's see. Okay, got that. And oh gosh, what's with the formatting? There's something. Control Shift N. I'm trying to clear the formatting. Okay, let's try that this way. Advise on forming community. I'm doing that again. I speak as I type. That's advise on forming community in inside company. And this is in general deploying Power BI in a company. Okay. There was one person who who watched I don't know, one of my live Power BI or something, and he said, I mean, I don't know if he said, Avi, I don't like you, but something to that effect. And he said, Avi, you say gosh a lot, and that's like so 1980s or something, I don't know. And I realized that I do say gosh quite a bit, and I blame it on the Archie comic books. So folks, I grew up in India, and Archie comic books, if you know what I'm talking about, they're, I mean, at least for a kid in Delhi, India, they were like beyond exotic. I'm like, wow. And the funniest thing is, I thought America was like that. Can you imagine my disappointment when I got here? I'm like, where's Riverdale? I want to go to Riverdale. So yeah, I was in New Jersey. And so I moved to New York, and then realized that, well, not realized, but New Yorkers would joke that New Jersey is the armpit of America. I like New Jersey. I think it was cool. But yeah, not like Riverdale. So Archie, whenever they came out, I think that's where I picked up gosh, and I've held on to it. So cool. So we're talking about advice on starting a community within a company, because for security reasons, questions can only be asked safely within the company. So I'll tell you everything that we have tried. Every single thing. I'm just going to spill it out. And frankly, it's a little scary. But I don't know why it's scary. But so here are the things we have tried and I would recommend. So again, if I believe in community, so I've always said form a community inside your company. Right? And what does that look like? I say do brown bags, right? So you can do lunch hour, lunch and learn. People sometimes, whatever, right? Whatever you want to call it. I think lunch hour is a great hour. I mean, you can do it in a non-lunch hour, but you know, so that's what I saw and did in Microsoft, right? So I would do brown bags, invite people, and then yeah, kind of present, and you know, you can start with kind of Power BI kind of overview, like what is Power BI, maybe introduce that to them, and you know, kind of maybe desktop 101, building your own reports. Actually start, forget about that. So forget about desktop, right? So again, you got to kind of ease your way into it. You first, so we were talking about Power BI kind of complexity and that sort of stuff. And Power BI is awesome. Let's not take anything away from that. But for a new user, this can be a bit overwhelming. And I was kind of surprised because, again, so you as an author may be living in this day in and day out, and you would know exactly how to navigate, but it was kind of confusing. And frankly, there's some things which I'm not too excited about. For example, let's go over here. There is, oh gosh, yeah, this refresh button was my scourge, my friend, was my enemy. So people would go in there and they would say, Avi, I clicked on refresh, I don't see today's data. and maybe, you know, so if you know, I hope you do, this refresh does kind of nothing. It refreshes the cache. It does not refresh the data set. The data set refresh is a totally different thing. So, you know, you kind of deal with that, and then people are like, how do I, like, they wouldn't understand cross-filtering. So there's a lot of stuff going on. That, frankly, the distinction between dashboard and reports and the tabs and the slicers work differently. And right, I mean, some slicers can be displayed like horizontally. Data. There's quite a bit in there. And again, for new users, it can be overwhelming depending on what your culture is. So I'll just start off real easy. I was like, hey, here's a Power BI report. Here's what you do. You know, you go on there, you click on this. If it's shared with you, you will see sharing. They always have, I don't see this report. Well, because it's not being shared with you, right? So there's a lot there. And you talk to them a little bit about that. Just get them used to it, right? So you say, oh, okay, cool. Now they're like, okay, yeah, awesome, right? So now authors are always going to be few. Now it used to be that the data guy or the data person, right? So as data gene person, if you will, they were about 1 to 20. You look at a group of 20 kind of business users, finance, whatever, you would always find this one person who is the data person, right? And he was the go-to person. Whenever I said, oh, I need this, and this report, I was like, oh, yep, go to Jane. She's got it, right? That sort of stuff, right? But now that's going to go out of whack. Now, you may not experience this right now, but I predict, and maybe it's already happening, this can go 1 to 100. This can go 1 to 1,000, maybe more. I don't know, right? So you can have one awesome Power BI person who can support 1,000 users, 100 users easily, right? So easily. So the data gene person. So folks, here's the thing, right? If you are the data gene person, if you're it, get the frick out of the data dungeon. Yeah, don't be that guy sitting in the dungeon cranking out reports. That's not valuable to you. That's not valuable to anybody. All right. So get out of there. Get the F out of there, my friend. Get the F out of data dungeon, right? And people say, oh, Avi, I'm an introvert. No, that's not for me. I'm not good at that. BS, my friends. BS. I'm going to sit there just for a second and just talk about introversion, okay? All right, so humor me. Just stay with me here. And again, I'm talking about introvert, but whatever that BS block you have in your head, that I'm only good at cranking out reports. I'm not good at like storytelling or presenting or stepping up or doing presentation. Just put that away, okay? Here's why. So I'm gonna say it, and you're gonna go, what? So I'm an introvert, all right? Yeah. You say, Avi, come on, man. You're live on YouTube. You're an introvert? Yeah, my friends, I'm an introvert, right? So introversion has nothing to do with what you can or cannot do. Forget introversion. Whatever character, personality trait you ascribe to yourself, like I am like this and therefore I cannot do this, that is BS, right? If you want to keep believing that way, go right ahead, my friend, right? What do you think it's going to take you, right? What got you here won't get you there. Look at all the CEOs in the world. Look at all the CEOs. Look at all the politicians, if you will. Although that's a little dangerous. You would see people of all different characteristics. Introvert, extroverts, whatever, down in the middle, right? And if you look at the CEO styles, there are so many different CEOs with very different and unique styles. You don't have to be a specific way to do any specific thing, right? Most of these are skills you can teach and learn. All right, so if you are the data gene person, you gotta get out and get up there and start doing some of this. So, I mentioned the pro level, the pro plus level, the 6 figures level, where I'm not focusing on Power BI. This is kind of beyond that, because I looked at Pam and Justina, the women who inspired me. Right? I want to create more of that, but then I also looked at my life, and I used to say that Power BI changed my life, which is kind of true, but also not true, because I realized that it wasn't Power BI in itself. It was all the things, because I felt so passionately about this, all the other things that I started doing. And that's what I'm trying to teach in that course as well. But again, I mean, there's no secret to it, right? Of course, in that course, we're trying to put together a group of awesome superheroes which empower each other to actually do it, right? But the actual stuff is not a secret, so I'll share all of that with you. So data gene person, you gotta start doing whatever we're gonna write here. Whatever we're gonna write here, you're gonna do that. All right? Okay, cool. So community, you say brown bag, lunch and learn, Power BI overview. You start gentle, and then you go deeper, based maybe on a specific audience. Then you can go. Oh, so then you can. Next step is, okay, now you're using reports. Here's how you can create your own report in Power BI. Or actually, before that, it'll be change an existing report. Here's how you can tweak an existing report. So we're not talking about selecting a slicer. We're like, hey, I want to take this report and change it just a little bit. Create your own report, and then maybe you go to like Desktop 101 and Power BI kind of modeling and authoring and all that sort of stuff, and DAX and so forth. So you kind of slowly roll it out, and somebody is kind of leading it. All right, and have members step up. So this shouldn't be one person. It's going to be a disaster. So when I said data gene person, start doing this, I didn't mean do this yourself. Make that community, form that, set that up, enable that, but then you give the members a chance to step up, speak. And one of the things you can also do is what I call spotlights, which is basically show and tell. So I say, hey, whatever you're doing, doesn't matter. And people are often hesitant. They're like, oh, this is not good enough. I don't want to share. This is not worth sharing. BS, doesn't matter. What you're doing is worth sharing. You know, if you're working on it and it's not worth it, then why are you working on it, right? So whatever you're doing, just encourage them and be nice. Don't say what I just said. But yeah, just, hey, don't matter, Paul, doesn't matter what you're working on. Oh, and they'll say, oh no, it's not good enough, it's not ready. Nah, just share it, what you have. You know, just share, just so have them come on there and just kind of show and tell, and that becomes incredibly powerful. So folks, see what you have here. I mean, it's like awesome. By the way, Paul Ferguson is a great contact. Paul Ferguson is trying to do exactly that in his company. All right, let's switch gears a little bit, right? Let's rubber hits the road. Now the challenge is that there are going to be a few data authors, but so we talked about this. We heard Samuel talk about it and other folks where, like, gosh, the struggle is real. There's learning and then there's doing. And you learn, you watch somebody, man, of course, now I do video, you can watch me step by step, right? I mean, oh, we clicked on this, but you're doing it for your own data set. And again, businesses are like fingerprints, are all unique. So you're going to have a unique scenario. And you can be in there, so in there and struggling to kind of apply it. And let's go, oh, should I see Avi do it? I see whatever another expert do it, and I see read their blog and so forth. And then you're just spinning your wheels. You go to forums, but it's not quite the same because, I mean, it's just they don't have the full context, and that it's really, really hard, right? So. And it becomes really frustrating. You did hear Sammy use the word frustrating. He kind of retracted it. It's like, oh, it's not frustrating, but man, it can be frustrating. It can be actually really, really frustrating. So, and I think this is a challenge. So if you're a leader in your organization, and again, you don't need a title to lead. Right? You don't need a title. You don't need anybody's permission. You can anoint yourself. I anoint you if you want me to. You are the Power BI leader in your company. Just step into that role, my friend. Just step into it. Just assume that role. So let's say you are the leader. Nothing to do with your title. Then you got to be aware of this. So of course, what I've tried to do is to create in my course is that we do talk Power BI. Students are invited, they can call and talk. And again, this is a very public forum. You're on YouTube. We do what we call group consulting calls where we get only students. That's a more private call. And, you know, so that's a little more intimate. You feel a little more comfortable talking about your stuff. And, right, it's not out in the world. It's not going to be out on YouTube and so forth, right? So that's an intimate setting. Actually, I'll just show you kind of our live calendar really quick. We do that, and then again we have 3 levels now. We have the course, Learn Power BI. I shouldn't call it a course, it's a program. It's a course, community, and all of that sort of stuff. And then we have the pro level, which is, and then we have the pro plus. But let's look at that. So we have, we have the Talk Power BI. We're running the Real Power BI project, and then we do the group consulting call that I talked about, and then for the pro level, and again, this is beta. As I said, I love beta. I love beta. We do a day where they can book a private call with me. So that's how we've kind of solved that, because I realize that need is there. And of course, we do welcome call with the friends and hang out and all that sort of stuff, right? So there's some of that, but most of that is still in a group setting. So right? So example of Avi's program, right? So now, again, it does have private consulting, but those opportunities are limited. Like I would have 1 day in a month where you can get that time, and it just frankly doesn't work for organizations. So this is what I did with organizations. I said, you do this, and well, actually, not quite this. So we did private Q&A sessions just for that company, and that goes great. It went really good. Actually, you know what? I'll share everything about this. All right. So, folks, when he started this, I remember going on the first call, and I was like, man, this is not going to work out. This was a dumb idea. This is the first time I've done this, and the group consulting calls are awesome. I mean, again, we have like 500 plus students in the community, and of course, not all of them pro members, but many of them are, and so forth. So I love that. I love the stuff that they bring, and of course this Talk Power BI is awesome because I get to hang out with you guys. But the private Q&A sessions didn't go well initially because nobody would talk. They were like, hey guys, I'm here, I'm Avi, maybe you know me. And it's like, do you have any questions, how's it going? And it didn't work. So for one, it sometimes takes some time, and now I know just a really simple trick to break that. So the thing was that instead of me kind of trying to lead that discussion, that was not a good idea, because most of these folks really did not know me. So the person who had brought me in, the leader of that team, they knew me, right? they liked me, right? They knew about me, but none of these people knew me. So instead of me being there, we had I'm going to call it the person Power BI leader, right? So again, we're probably, and again, frankly, if you're that data gene person, you should just assume this role. We were talking about it, and yeah, I mean, if you're in business, you're like, hey, no computer, no IT. We talked about that in the panel discussion. That's a strength you have. So we had the Power BI leader lead this, and this is what we did. And again, it's such a simple thing. So this person, let's call him Mike. Mike would say, hey, Joseph, you're working on that model. How's that going? Talk about that. And then Joseph will, start talking about it. And then we'll say, and then Joseph would even say, like, I'm wondering about this. And I'll say, oh, cool. This is how you do it. And then he would say, hey, Jennifer, what about that? I know, why don't you show us your project? So he would just cue it in. And of course, this just happened in the first to second session. And after that, they were like off and running. Next time I would jump on, they would be like lined up with questions. And it was great. It was awesome, right? So, and of course, even with this, I said Q&A is great, but also sometimes just do show and tell. Because what happens is that sometimes you don't know that you need to ask that question. Like, so somebody commented earlier that I got a question answered, which I didn't even think of. I didn't need that I know it. So when you just show your model, I would go, that's great, love it. What about this? Tell me more. So, okay, yeah, you could do it this way, right? So they wouldn't even know that to ask that. And of course, you're learning from each other as well. So you do a show and tell. So we do private Q&A sessions, right? So folks, great. So folks, now what I'm doing though is, so I have dedicated myself to I want to teach others to fish, right? Not fish for them. So I'm going to focus on the settings where I'm working in like a more open setting, a group setting, so that everybody can get help, right? So that's why we go do all of the group consulting. So, I talk Power BI. So my YouTube community, my followers, my students, they're all there. And so forth. So this was becoming a bit challenging for me to continue. But what we have done recently is, again, I call them students, but a lot of the folks, these 500 plus community, they are thorough Power BI professionals. They're amazing. They're mind-blowing amazing. Frankly, some of them have better kind of DAX chops and DAX skills, if you will, than me, right? So they're really cool, really amazing. And I said, I don't have to do this, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just connecting companies who are like talking to me about this. I'm connecting them with one of our amazing Power BI professionals in the Learn Power BI community. And again, I mean, obviously these are independent freelancers and consultants, so I just connect them and say, hey, yeah, I mean, you kind of set your rates and whatever arrangement you set up with the company, and just go help them. And of course, it's incredible value. So leaders recognize that the struggle is real, and unless you tackle it, you're going to slow down the growth and direction of the company. And of course, folks, the way to see that is, didn't want that. There's a right place and right time, right? If you don't feel it, you should. We're at the beginning of this amazing wave. You can, and I've tried surfing. I wouldn't say I'm good at it, but if you miss the wave, you miss it. It's just, that's nothing you can do. You got to wait for another one, right? But if you catch it, it's a lot of fun. It's great feeding, right? So if you spend time, if people in your organization are just kind of struggling and spending time on this, yeah, you're kind of missing out on the wave, right? So think about the impact this can have if you speed these things up, if you remove these roadblocks. And not about speeding, it's about removing those roadblocks, what your organization can accomplish. So great question. There's a lot here that you can do. I think we covered good ground. If you have any kind of thoughts or follow-up questions, just let me know. All right, cool. So let's see. I'm going to scan through some of the comments. Loretta Sue saying, I do the option that forces refresh. Oh, pivot table opening, then the file refresh allowed data. I like that. That's I'm going to note that down. Loretta Sue, refresh, non-issue. Credit where credit is due. This came from Loretta Sue. Option to refresh on opening date. Yeah. So. So that option is there where you can do the setting. So great. So Christopher thanked her as well. I'm going to join the club. I'm from Honduras. Hello, Carlos. Good to have you here. And Lindsay's saying, any collaboration tools? Ooh, but within a company. Well, yes, absolutely. Let's talk about that really quick. I'm glad I saw that. So here's what we have seen. A lot of companies have, well, now they have Microsoft Teams. There is Skype for Business, Link, all the variations of that, and there is Slack, and then there is also kind of WebEx and the old guard, Zoom. We love Zoom. GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting is the one that I use. I find it's kind of rock solid. So yeah, so if you have all of these tools, then great. If you don't, if you really don't, right? So yeah, I mean, so for one is like, how do you get together? And I'm going to assume that your team is in different places. They're not all in the same place. Otherwise, you could do it in a room, right? So if they're all in different places, then this is good. Gosh, I was thinking of something else. So if you have none of these, then I would suggest go with Zoom. It's the simplest and I think the cheapest option. Simplest, cheapest, yep. So that's one. And then kind of for like a forum, like a online forum. So that way they're not just engaged when they're in a meeting, right? Let's call it meetups, right? So meetups does this. For kind of a forum, where do you hang out? There was, I don't know why I'm starting with Yammer, but there was Yammer. We love Slack as well. You can do kind of Microsoft Teams as well. So again, Teams, you can set up a meeting. You can do like an online meeting. Let's just say online meetups. But you can also do questions. I don't know, right? So I don't know. SharePoint doesn't figure. I mean, frankly, SharePoint, I don't want to throw it under the bus, but it's like a glorified file share. Oh boy, somebody in SharePoint is I'm gonna make them really angry. Frankly, I'm having a hard time fitting in SharePoint in this tool. SharePoint is, you can use it for report sharing, internet, that sort of stuff. SharePoint is cool. Let me take back whatever I said, but not for this, everything that we talked about here. Awesome, great. So let's see. So Christopher Hastings. Oh, so Gene. Call in, my friend. What are you struggling with? Is there a DAX thing? If it is, let's see. You don't have any caller. I don't know if the. Oops. Let's. Mark, hey, good to see you here, my friend. What tool do you use to illustrate points on screen? Aha. So every in-person training that I did, it was frankly kind of becoming disappointing because the first question or feedback or whatever wasn't like a Power BI or anything. They would ask me that. How do you draw on the screen? So the tool is called Zoom It. It's by Microsoft and it's free. Zoom It, maybe search for like Zoom It Microsoft and you'll find it. Zoom It Microsoft. I'll put a link in here as well. And it's awesome. I love it. Cool. So that's Zoom It. Call in. So I'm going to call out Gene. Gene, can I say at Gene? I don't know how to do that. Oh, at Gene, nice. At Gene, I can do that. I learned something new today. I can mention people in YouTube chat. I think that's kind of cool. Okay. So I'm going to send them the link, which is here. And we're going to say copy, and go back and frankly, hey, anybody else can dial in as well. Come on. All right, so Gene, if you're kind of stuck, call in. If I missed a question, then just paste it in again. But let's recap. Boy, this has been quite an amazing day. How are we doing in time? 11:26. That's great. Hey, yesterday I know we were talking for 3+ hours because I have the timestamp of 12 here. But oh man, that feature of Power BI panel. So folks, yeah, if you joined late, go back and watch it. So just to kind of recap, this is what we kind of covered. So we talked about why is Power BI revolutionary? We talked about what could go wrong. Hey, right? Success, actually, one of my friends likes to say success is inevitable. And of course, for yourself, I want you to think that. But, but for Power BI, well, is there something could go wrong? And so that was an interesting discussion. What are the forces in favor? And there are many, many. We talked about some of the key ones. And this was my favorite part. Like, what does it mean for me? I think we have our first caller. Let's see, we have audio. Gene is here, doesn't have audio yet. Gene, I think I can hear you now. Go ahead. Say hi. It does show that you have audio, but yeah, I can't seem to hear you. Yeah, it looks, over here looks good. Let me put a chat here. Hey, Gene. I can't hear you. All right, so we'll have Gene figured out. Gene, by the way, if you do get the audio working, do mute me on YouTube. Otherwise, we'll have this weird echo going on, unless you're using headphones. Well, actually, do mute me on YouTube or something like that. Okay, let's go back. I want to go back to the chat just in case you type something. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's do this. Offsetting ultimate calendar table, folks. It is awesome, and I can say that without feeling bashful. So again, it's kind of always odd. I don't know why we do it. I don't think we need to do it, but yeah, you feel you don't want to talk about yourself. What's wrong with feeling you're awesome, right? So, and again, I can say that to myself, like in the shower. I'm like, I'm awesome, right? And I have this whole thing which I do where you gotta love yourself like you love other people. I heard a quote today which was so beautiful. And Gene, we're still waiting on your audio, my friend. So guys, listen to this. This is awesome, right? This is really good. And again, this is the good stuff. You talk about Power BI, forget that. It starts here. It starts about your mindset, right? That's what enables you to do these things. If that's not right, well, yeah, whatever you do wouldn't matter either. So, all right, I think I have an audio. So Gene, hold on one second. So before I forget. So the quote was, if you treated your friend the same way you treat yourself, how long would they stay your friend? Yeah, I would say not very long, because yeah, we're so hard on ourselves. So imagine any conversation which you have with your inner self when you're struggling, when you're not able to do something, and then you go, oh gosh, this is so hard, I can't figure it out, I can never figure it out, and if you go down in this path, or you don't get that promotion, like, oh gosh, yeah, I gotta work. Yeah, the conversations we have, those are not the conversations you would have with your friend. To your friend, you would say, dude, you got it. Don't worry, man. It's hard, yeah, but look, you've already done so much. Right? You would be so much more encouraging. If they missed out on the promotion, think about the things you would say to them. It's like, oh, dude, they don't see your value, man. It's their loss, not yours, right? Why don't we say those things to ourselves? Why don't we? All right, cool. So, all right. So let's say, Gene, I could hear you, and then I was rambling on. Say hi to me once again.
Avi, can you hear me?
Yes. Awesome.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks.
Great. So your name seems really familiar.
Yeah, I was one of your first students. You and I chatted for a long time.
One of our first students. When was that? So I know 2018.
Gosh, last year sometime. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. All right. So that's awesome. So hold on. Let me timestamp. Kind of check you in, my friend. We'll officially check you in. Do a flower garland and all that stuff. And so I'll copy kind of a note from here. Okay, so what I was going to say was that I realized that the ultimate calendar table is ultimate, for one, because of everybody's contributions. It has gone through a few changes over time. One of the most recent ones was, I think, Sean McDonald. Oh gosh, that guy's responsible for now. And so I felt, one day I was like, I felt so embarrassed. I'm like, oh gosh, how can I call it the ultimate calendar table when I keep updating it, right? But I realized that is what makes it ultimate. It's ultimately updatable, modifiable, right? So and because yeah, calendar table is one of those things you would think that it would be like the standard table everybody would use, but I've never found that to be the case. Every company that I went to, they always made a tweak to it. So Gene, tell me, so you said you're trying to add an offset for the day. For the day?
Yes.
Tell me what that looks like. Is that like 1 to 365? What is that what it is?
Well, the way your offset works now is it for each year and month, it shows you how many either positive or negative.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
These are dates or years from 0, which is the current month or year.
Okay, got it. You want to do it for the day. So current day would be 0, and the previous day would be -1, and so forth. Okay, so stay with me here. I'm just gonna help everybody else kind of catch up. And so, folks, the complete lessons for this are actually inside our pro level, but hey, we love sharing, so a good chunk of this is also available on YouTube right here, and I'm going to reference the
calendar table?
the offset piece that Gene is asking about. So I'm going to put that link in there. And again, the whole Ultimate Calendar. So if you're new to the Ultimate Calendar or Calendar and so forth, start at the top. But offset video. So that's it. And save it for later. Don't watch it now. All right. So let's come back here and just give me a second. I'm going to open the file. The file there is course learn Power BI upload. Oh, not here. It's in the mini courses. And yeah, folks who are in the pro level, there's a little more detail, and hopefully we'll add more. Actually, now that I think of it, there was one question earlier about doing the time. Hey, if you're still around, just hang on 1 second. Once we're kind of done with this discussion, if you're still around, post that question again so I can see it and answer it. No, not here. Oh yeah, of course, the top. So yeah, so if you're in the pro level, get it there. But for now, we will go to the calendar table downloads. Almost there. Boy, this is going to be awesome. Ooh, no, not it. Okay, maybe while that coming up, I'll go here. Where's the offset? There it is. Oh, this one actually. I don't want to click it again. I think I did. Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right, it's opening. Let's see if we can cover something here. So, folks, if you're looking at offsets, oh, that feels embarrassing. Come on. Okay, wow, man, I've drawn some fancy visuals here. Okay, I think the file is open. Okay, we can ignore that. Learn Power BI. And this is the... Oh, already have it. Okay, awesome, great. So let's look at this one. So the way offsets work, again, for everybody else's benefit. Oh yeah, there we go. So this report wasn't refreshed, well, refreshed since March. So again, this is done in the query editor, so it's only updates when you refresh. Typically in your model, if you're using a calendar table like this, you would want to set up a daily refresh. But again, if I refresh it now, it'll, so in February, you know what, let's just refresh the calendar table. But once that's done, what's going to happen is, actually, I'll wait for that. All right, so let's come back here. And you can see, so it checks today's date, and you don't have to technically do today's date. You can use something else. You can use like based on your data or sometimes something like that. But anyway, so by default, it goes by today's date, and it says, yep, I know that March 2019 is the current month, and I know that February 2019 is the one prior to that, and the prior to that, and so forth, right? And what this allows you to do is really do a lot of cool stuff. For example, if you, and of course we have the current month offset, we have the current week offset, we have the current year offset, and all of that. So now you can show a report which always shows you the current year, right? And again, you don't have to touch it. The next year it's always going to update automatically, or it shows you the current month, or it shows you the last 3 months, or the last 6 months. You can use that for reporting filtering, and you can also use that for DAX calculations. For example, I always want to see the the rolling period of last 3 months or something like that. So it's very flexible. Now what Gene is asking is similar to how we have like a month offset. I want a day offset. So let's try to add that. Sorry, folks. So hey, folks, I'm gonna speak out loud as I'm going through this, which I realize sometimes can be annoying. Like I would just show me the solution. But in general, the feedback that I've heard is that people do find it valuable to see how I'm thinking. And I also do it kind of as a CYA move, because sometimes I fail to do what I'm trying to do. I fail. So you don't get the solution. But you guys are so nice. I often hear comments like, Avi, no, don't worry. So, I get red faced and embarrassed. I'm like, oh, guys, sorry, I can solve it. And often people reach out and say, no, Avi, I still learned. So I'm going to speak out loud. So cool. So again, the goal is, so today, what is the date today? Today is March 15th. So let's do, so I often do this stuff in kind of Excel sometimes, where I use it as my scratch pad and I just kind of write out what I want the result to be. So today is March 15th, 2019. So I want that day offset to be 0. And let's say this is 3/14, 2019, and 3/13, 2019. I'll just do a few of these. And of course I can extend down, so that's easier. So this will be kind of -1, this will be -2, and this will be 1, this will be 2, and this will be 3, something like that, right? So that's the goal. We just want to have a label on this. And again, once we have it, we have the same flexibility that we have with months, where we could say, show me the current month, show me the last 3 months, show me the last 3 completed months. And frankly, let's go back for that a little bit. I love that part. Where you can say, show me the last completed months. And this was always what we wanted in the finance world. Nobody cared about March until the books were closed. So like, no, I don't care about March. I care about -1 to -3. Always show completed months. So you can say, ignore the current day, show me everything else, and something like that. So that's our goal. That's our goal, to create this, which is going to give us additional capabilities. So we go in here and we have our ultimate calendar table. I'm going to collapse this just so we get more room. And I'm just kind of warming up. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, cool. I'm just, all right. So I know that I have the date. So again, folks, so frankly, to teach is to learn twice. So now when I'm doing these things, I have learned, like, how do I actually solve this? And if you humor me, I'll just give me a brief second. I think it's going to be valuable to everybody. I'll share what happened in one of the recent calls. Was it this one? Oh yeah. So I was solving somebody for Yufei, one of the students in a class, and maybe not here. Where is it? Maybe this one. Oh, and I wrote the steps down. And I didn't know what the steps are. Sometimes just go in there and fix it, right? But by trying to teach somebody, that's why to teach is to learn twice. I broke down the steps like, this is what I do. I should do this and I do this and this is how I debug, right? So we wrote that down. So so let's come back to our calendar table. So I know we have the date column, right? And I just want to compare that to that. So again, what I was trying to say here was that let's come back to talk Power BI. So we're talking about this. So the approach that I consistently use, and I would encourage you to use that as well, and you'll get better at it as you go. Human learning before machine learning, right? So you got to teach the human how to do it, and then we can teach the machine how to do the same thing. Right? So, and humans are intuitive. So the challenge there is to really break it down into small itsy-bitsy steps, because that's the only way machines can work. So how would a human do it? Well, first I'll figure out today's date. I need to know that. So let's say I figured that out, right? So I looked at the clock, something, and I said, today's date is this. Cool. What am I going to do next? Well, I'm just going to compare this date to today's date, right? So I'll say, so let's say today's date, let's move that over here and let's call it today's date. And then, so now I'll go row by row and I'll say, yeah, I think this minus today's date. And general. Cool. So I'm feeling good here. I'm feeling like, yep, I know this. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and I already have the current date in here. So it's doing date time local fix now. By the way, I forget the name of the gentleman. There's like a real, not a big problem, but a really interesting challenge here where you have to figure this out in terms of UTC and the general GMT, UTC, whatever you want to call it, because the PowerBI.com service runs in UTC, and that creates a lot of problems. If you are having those problems, then bring that up. I would love to kind of dive into that as well. So I already have the current date here, and yeah, so I already have that. So what I'm going to do is come back to the end, and again, ultimate table, and I'm going to change the size of this so you can all see it. Cool. So we'll keep that here. And you notice, by the way, that how I add these sections and subsections and I rename most of these steps just to keep myself sane. And now is going to be another update. And we're going to create a gene for this. Oops, not that. Added custom, what is that? I should have renamed it. What is this? Added flag MTD. Flag QTD. Oh, okay. Hold on, this is great. Flag underscore QTD. I'm just fixing something, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say insert step after. So again, sorry, that was a little small. Let's zoom in. So I said right click and insert step after. I chose this one, which gave me this step, and I'm gonna rename this, and I'll say update March 2019 March current day offset. Okay, so we'll do that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm looking up to the name of the step that had the current date, and I'm just going to say add column. I realize I actually don't need this step, but I'm going to do it this way and then we'll come back. So we'll say current date, and here I can just reference current date, the name of that other step. I'm pretty sure this is going to work. Let's try it. Hit OK, and we have the current date. And notice it's just, it's the same date, right? There's nothing in it. But if you now see it, that our problem is so simple, right? So we have date in one column, and then we have the current date in another column. And we know what we need to do because we broke down the human steps. We know how a human would solve it. Like once I have this date, I can just do this minus this. So we're going to do the same thing. All right. So let's change this to a date. Okay. And again, folks, the best way to document model is as you go. So if you get steps like this, added custom, just rename them to make more sense. Added current date. And cool. So we change type. And then I can add a custom column and just do A minus B. So it'll be current day offset. Actually, I'll stick to my naming conventions. I don't say current, I just say cur, which now sounds weird. Actually, maybe I'll name this one full one, current day offset. And then I'll say do date minus the current date. And again, I'll rewrite this in a second. And frankly, I'm not sure if I change it to a whole number, would that work? I think that worked. Let me scroll down furiously. Do we even have 2019? I may not. Oh, actually, I do. I know that. I know I could have loaded it back in the model as well to check it. Almost there, folks. Come on, Power BI, you can do it. We're getting there. 150, 25, 0. Awesome. Boom, 0. So where was 0? I was this row. So I'm going to highlight that. So yeah, and let's scroll all the way across. So yeah, so 315 was marked as 0. And if I scroll all the way to the side, I can see that it's doing 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. So Gene, what do you think? This is good, right? This is what you were looking for? I just want to make sure I didn't go off on a weird path. Oh gosh, we lost Gene on the phone. I don't know what happened. Okay, well, I hope everything was good. All right, so now let's go back and rewrite it, right? So again, I did this for illustration purposes. You don't need any of these steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this step, added custom, and so we added a column and then we said this minus current date. You don't need any of that. You can just go in here and instead of that column, you can reference that step. So date minus current date, and I'm confident that's going to work. I think it worked. So cool. So now what I can do is I can go back and I can remove these steps. So I can simplify my life a little bit. Added, don't need this step. Added current date is gone. Change type, definitely don't need that now. Delete. And again, document it as you go. So I'm going to say added. Man, I'm a little bummed that I lost Gene on the phone here. I don't know what happened. And change type, that's good enough. Actually, let's see the change type. The current day offset. Okay, so I think that's looking good. Let's come back here and just check it once in the model. Gene, if you wanted to join back in, if you have any follow-up or something like that, then definitely let me know. So current week offset, and let's, not this, but let's duplicate this page and put it maybe here, maybe here. Oops. Okay, there we go. So I don't know what to call it. Current day offset, and this is 2019 March. All right, folks. So and hey, I'm gonna make sure I save this file in the Talk Power BI vault. So yeah, if you go to talkpowerbi.com and you sign up, you get access to the notes, the files, everything. So let's try it. So in here now we're gonna change to year, month. Let's do date. Let's bring in date. There we go. And instead of the current month offset, we're going to try the current day offset. And why? Oh, there it is. And I'm going to change this so that it doesn't do add it up. Come on, Power BI. Oh, weird. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, sometimes it does that. You know, you're clicking on it, it doesn't work. I've seen that you just Alt-Tab and Alt-Tab back to it, or you switch to another window and it just works. So what I want to do here is change to don't summarize. And then I want to bring it in here. Oh, so I don't know why it's doing that. I mean, I told it not to summarize, but it created a count for me. That's not expected, but easily fixed. So I'm going to come in here and say, no, really, I mean it this time. Don't summarize. Cool. So now we have that, and let's just go add some slicers on there so we can examine the current data. So we will go here, and there's a slicer for that. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Perfect. A list, great. 2019. Let's look at that. Let's add a slicer for month. I might be losing my voice a little bit, folks. Gosh, it's not even been 3 hours. Okay, so let's go into the current month, March, and see what it looks like. Cool. So I'm in March, and you can see that it has a flag there. So it knows the current day, it knows the previous day. And again, it's got lots and lots of uses. 2 of the uses are if you want to filter, like a whole report, like I always want to show the last 7 days or last 7 completed days. You would just go in there and say, hey, show me -1 to -7. And that way, you know, so come tomorrow, March 16th, and again, the calendar table assumes that you're going to run a daily refresh. Otherwise, obviously, these are going to be wrong. But as long as you're running a daily refresh, it's always going to show you the last 7 days, something like that. Last 10 days, whatever you want, right? And you can use that for filtering, and you can also use that in DAX calculations, right? So I want to sum up the sales in the last 7 days. Just go ahead and do that. Just say, yep, you know, give me a sum of sales where current day offset is -1 through -7. And it's always going to be the last 7 days from today. That is offsets. They're magical. They're magical. They're unbelievably magical. And I'm glad that the community, you guys have just helped me make it better. Now I have to find where to save it. Hold on 1 second. I'll save it for now for one in the Talk Power BI vault. Again, go to talkpowerbi.com to get it. And we'll say 2019 0315, and we're gonna credit this to Gene, and I will say current day offset, Learn Power BI Ultimate Calendar, and of course we'll cool. Okay. Let's see. I was gonna do one thing. Oh, I know what. Yes. Okay. Got it. I closed it really too quick. Talk Power BI. So guys, just give me 1 second, and maybe I'll multitask. I wanted to save this in a course file as well, so the students also have access to the latest file. Kind of weird. What is that? Totally weird. Okay, hold on just 1 second. I got save as, and we're gonna go here, and I'm on a different screen if you're wondering what I'm doing. Latest. Awesome, cool. All right, folks. What is the time right now? 11:56, close to 3 hours. Let's see what you guys say. Aha. Well, so somebody was asking about the time. Well, so the calendar table doesn't have time in there, right? So and so I'll share like one quick rule is that you don't explode your calendar table to add time in there, right? So if you want to add time, you're not gonna go in there and let's say for August 1, 2014, add like 24 rows for each hour. Don't do that. Just please don't do that. It's not a good idea. The timetable is going to be separate, so and it's going to be at the grain that you want, minutes, seconds, hours, whatever you want, and it's gonna look kind of like this. So it will have the smallest grain. So the smallest row for this is the date level, right? For the time, you can choose the grain. Is it minutes, seconds, whatever? So it's going to have that, and then all attributes. For example, if you have 24 rows for 24 hours, so it might look like this. Your timetable, you might have something like R, right? And it'll go 1 through 24. Actually, maybe it'll go 0 through 23, I think. Yeah. So 0 through, imagine 23. Oops, I went too far. But then you can do a, hey, is this night? Is it day? Is it morning? Is it evening? Is it afternoon? Maybe you have shifts. So hey, is this shift 1, shift 2, shift 3? All of that are going to be columns. And frankly, just as far as Power BI is concerned, Power BI doesn't really care about any of these columns, right? It really, trust me, I've talked to it. No, I haven't really, but Power BI doesn't care about any of that. The only thing Power BI cares about is the date column. Everything else is for humans. It's for us. It's to help us for humans out. So the same way, whatever columns you create are for us humans to create whatever columns are going to be helpful for you. As far as Power BI is concerned, it only cares about this. And again, this can be at the grain that you need. R, minute, seconds, something like that. So that is time. And I'm not sure. Time, I don't know. Maybe there will be a current minute offset. What else? Yeah, so Matthew, I read your comment, but I have a feeling that what you're talking about is a different discussion. So just by the language, you're saying start and end time. There's a whole bucket of things there, a whole lot of fun stuff you can do with start and end times. Start and end times and duration and so forth. And let me see if I can jog my own memory. I feel like it was covered here in my course. Data modeling, financial. Oh gosh, where is it? Maybe it's in real Power BI. Hold on. Start and end times. So Steve Ross, of course, you know him as a moderator on the YouTube Talk Power BI. He's part of the Learn Power BI family. And I feel he sent me something which was about that. Oh boy, yeah, there we go. This was so fun. This wasn't Steve then, this was somebody else. But start and end time. So of course, a simpler thing to do start and end time is duration, right? Time elapsed. So example, we have that in AdventureWorks. So let's go to AdventureWorks. Actually, let's call this out. Matthew Jin. Matthew Jin, you said you're new. Well, welcome to Power BI. Frankly, being new is an amazing spot. Yeah, I mean, and again, I was talking about earlier how people join the course and they hop on a welcome call with me and they start with an apology. They're like, "Oh, Avi, I'm not a computer person," and I say that's your strength. And sometimes they say, "Avi, I'm just so new to this and I just started." And I'm like, "No, don't. You're in an amazing spot. You are strapped. You're on the launch pad, strapped into a rocket, headed for the moon or Mars, right? Would you rather be somewhere else? No, this is the perfect place for you." And by the way, guys, let's just sit there for a second. The overwhelm, the anxiety, that's real. Let's acknowledge that. But what I've come to believe is that if you operate from the space where you're always in the right place at the right time, it's a lot more empowering belief. It gives you much better results, frankly, right? So because then you say to yourself, I'm in the right place all the time, right? I'm exactly where I need to be. How about that? I like that phrasing. I am exactly where I need to be. If you think that way, you're not dwelling on your past. When you're saying, "Oh, I'm just new and I'm just getting started," mostly what you're doing is you're dwelling on the past. You're saying, "Oh, I should have started earlier. I should have learned this earlier. I should have worked harder." All of that stuff, right? That garbage is going on in your head. If you set that aside and you say, I'm exactly where I need to be," you operate from a place of power because now you're looking ahead. You're looking at what's possible. If you stay stuck in that loop, like, oh gosh, I got so much to learn. What you're kind of telling yourself is, yeah, because, yeah, I didn't do it yesterday, didn't do it last month or whatever, last year. Yeah, you're beating yourself up, right? So now you say, I'm exactly where I need to be. Where do I go from here? Cool. So let's come back here. So again, welcome. If you're new, feel awesome, revel in that. Oh, sorry, wrong file. This is my student's file. I'll go back to Talk Power BI, and we are focused on Matthew Jin's question. And the time is 12:02. Let's timestamp that. That way, Matthew Jin is start date, end date. Control-Alt-3. Let's do that. So the first thing to do is duration, elapsed time. That one is easy. And this is one we've talked about this before, where I love this kind of debate. So what I would say is this is a math calculation, right? This is not data shaping. This is not clean shape transform. This is math. And math generally belongs in DAX. That's the rule. Data shaping, clean shape transform, that belongs in the query editor. But this one is kind of on the borderline. Again, rules are made to be broken. If you're ignoring my rules, that's fine. Two things. One, be aware that you're breaking a rule and know why you're doing it. All right. And again, once I get into this space where, well, yeah, I know this should be done in DAX, but I could do it in query editor, and here are the trade-offs, and here's why I'm going to choose in the query editor. But so for this one, you have my blessing. You can do it in the query editor if you want, but that's kind of one thing. So you say basically a kind of end date minus start date, and then you get time elapsed, and then you can slice and dice the heck out of it, graph it, bloop, so that one is easy. That one is free. The start date, end date. I think the interesting challenge is active items, active students, whatever products, items in shipment right now, active employees, something like that, right? So that is a interesting one. That is a really interesting one. So I'm not going to go through that here, but yeah. So I took that on, and boy, look at this. So this was not one. But three solutions. So solution A, node relationships, solution B, advanced DAX, active relationships. And I think, I'm trying to remember this, I think C was my favorite because it was, well, it's a simple DAX. I always like simple. So yeah, there are a few different ways to solve it, and definitely can be done. But my gut is, if you're saying you're running into a problem, I don't think it's going to be duration, because that one should be easy. It should be the other one. All right, do we have a caller? We do. Hey, Lovedeep, I see you on the phone. Hi. Did you have something you wanted to talk about, discuss, ask me? Okay. All right. Well, if you change your mind, hey, I'm going to put you on mute. But if you have a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask me. And folks, oh wait. Maybe are you having maybe having microphone issues? Sometimes that happens. I hear noise, but I don't hear you talking. Oh, I think that's what's going on. So all right, Lovely. So we're gonna have you figure out the microphone. There is a microphone button in the corner. It should look like this, and that should let you kind of change your microphone. See if that works. I could hear noise, but I couldn't hear you. So folks, you have the call in. Sorry, excuse me. All right, let's see. Oh, let's go back to the chat. Okay, so Gene is saying offset is the absolute best thing. Use it all the time. The flags you added are amazing as well. That's great. Separate table, hours and minutes. Yes, that's right. Definitely. Yeah. So just like we have the calendar table, Matthew, you can have a time table, and time you choose the grain. Calendar is easy. Calendar is easy because it doesn't matter what your data is. The calendar table is always at the daily grain, right? It has a set of contiguous dates. Even if your data is annual, you say, Avi, no, I have like 2001, 2002, right? I don't have any months. I don't have any dates. And I would say, I don't care, right? Your calendar table is at the date level. Christopher's got to go. Awesome, my friends. Thank you for hanging out. Is there any size limit for data set to import in Power BI Desktop? Well, let me sidestep that question and say Power BI has no theoretical limit. It's based on whatever hardware you can provide. So theoretical limit is infinite, right? But there's a practical limit, and that depends on your authoring tool. Power BI Desktop is the authoring tool of choice. Hey, this is a good one, actually. I'll call it out. So we'll say this was Narasimha. Hopefully I can type that right. So this was 1207. Narasimha. Hey, I like your name, by the way, man. That's like a kick-ass name. Narasimha. And Narasimha is asking size limit for Power BI. So I know you asked for Power BI Desktop. So as far as Power BI goes, no limit. No theoretical limit, right? I mean, practically it's kind of hardware constrained. If you can give it enough memory, memory is usually speed and all that stuff, you can run anything you want. What about Power BI? And then it becomes on authoring tool. Power BI Desktop, I don't know. Can you run a 2 GB file? That'll be pretty hard. So this depends on your machine and your patience level. I don't know. I know I wouldn't want to work with a 2 GB Power BI Desktop file, but 100 megabytes, sure, you know. So yeah, so machine and patience. How do you go beyond that though? So how do you do a 2 GB, a terabyte model? How do you do those? Well, you go to the bigger version of this. So the engine is the same, but the shell is different, which is SSAS, Azure Analysis, and of course, in a way, PowerBI.com as well, which runs the same thing. I think PowerBI.com is running Azure Analysis in the backend. So the engine is exactly the same, but not exactly, but the engine is the same, just different flavors of that. So yeah, so if you want to go big, you're gonna have to go this. So I would say use Power BI Desktop as long as it works for you. But then it was like, oh gosh, it's too big. It's not. I can't upgrade my machine anymore. I can't add any more memory. And for one, I'm also running out of patience because it takes me 10 minutes to load, 10 minutes to do this. I click this and it takes too long. So yeah, just upgrade. Cool. Awesome. All right. So hey, we'll end at that. Oh man, you know that feeling where you're kind of tired but also like amped up. Yeah, these leave me feeling like that. So I forgot. Well, I didn't forget, but folks, we have this tradition of opening things with #win, #gratitude. Frankly, I'm doing for like all the calls. You know, you saw the live calendar, all the calls that I do with the class. I'm trying to do this where we open with #win. It started off. We started to do this inside our team. So my team, Avi, and of course, if you're inside my program, you met some of them, you know, in the past, and now. Chris, Jordan, really amazing people. They're the ones who make this possible. I mean, their contribution cannot be overestimated. Man, it's a long call. I'm glad I said that right. And there's a phrase that I love taught to me by my mentor, which was, if you want to go alone, sorry, I messed that up. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Right, so that's what they make possible. So we started this with them, and it's amazingly empowering. It just changes the whole tone of the meeting. You know, so we start with sharing our #wins, and these could be personal or work related. These could be big or small, and we close with gratitude. Gratitude, by the way, has been linked to, like, it can be like the single biggest thing, which can make you more happy. Of course, you can do a gratitude journal and that sort of stuff. But we'll close with gratitude. And the way both of these things work best, the #win and #gratitude, is you don't plan for it. And you just close your eyes and see what bubbles up. And if you want to go deeper, then you can make a whole list, not just say one thing. So not here, but in your own time at night, you know, write down 10 things, 20 things. People do 30 and 50 things because, you know, you just get deeper and deeper kind of inside yourself, inside your psyche. And we've talked about it's all about what's up here. So let's end there. I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna feel what comes up. Okay, so I'm grateful. Okay, and again, sometimes weird things come up. I'm grateful that we're ending this call because I can go get a glass of water. I forgot to put my water bottle here today, and I'm parched, my friends. Right. So again, I mean, you saw this. It just let it come up. Just let it come up. There's no good or bad. There's no judgment. There's nothing. Right. There's just, and you just receive it. And if you're doing it in a group, all you say is thank you. And by the way, I'm still working on that, because what happens is when my team shares something that this is a win, this is what I feel grateful for, I feel like I need to react. And I admit I'm still working on this, but really the key here is when somebody shares this with you, you're saying thanks for sharing. So folks, if you would want to share something you were grateful for, just go ahead. Again, as I said, no rules. Just be nice, of course. I'm grateful that you're stupid. Yeah. No, I see that stuff going on with my daughter and son. So be nice and share something that you feel grateful for. Could be personal. Could be about your kind of that arena of life. Could be work related. Could be big or small. So I'll hang out. I'll fill time for a bit. Or you know what? I think the chat is going to be live even if after I hang up. So I'm going to hang up. I'll see you next time. But if you're still watching, just go ahead and try it. Right? Just write something you're grateful for, and see how that makes you feel. Just see how that feels inside. Just sit there for a moment. All right, my friends. I'll see you next time. Bye.